Hello and welcome to Bellingham, Washington for Friday Night Magic at Cosmic Comics. I'm Kagan.
And I'm Brad.
And we're doing something a little different tonight. Been leading up into this, so we are doing a Journey into Nyx sealed event today.
And the reasoning for that is twofold. For one, people want Journey to Nyx cards because today is the first day they're legal. And for two, people don't have Journey to Nyx cards because today is the first day they're legal. So building your constructed deck would have been a little bit more difficult today than it might be next week. Plus, now you're getting a little bit of a flood of product into your coffers to facilitate that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's also good for us just to have a change up of, we've seen so much constructed and we haven't gotten to see Limited yet. And Limited's a big part of what Magic is. And it's also great practice for the PTQ season coming up as well, which is going to be this exact same sealed format.
And it'll be a lot of fun for Keegan and I because we kind of know the cards.
Yeah, this is a learning experience for all of us. So you'll get to learn with us as we incorporate the Journey to Nyx cards into the full block here.
We definitely have the Gatherer window up right behind this screen so that we can click away and figure out exactly what Whitewater Naiads does.
Exactly. Yeah, broadcasting with a harness tonight. But so one of the exciting things about tonight too is that we're still working under the guaranteed prize structure. So it's still $100 store credit for first place, $50 for second. Top four get 15 and 4 packs. Anybody who top eights gets 2 packs. And then every round that you win in the first 3 rounds, you get a pack as well. So yeah, there's a lot of big prizes for not very much. It was $20 to enter tonight.
$20, and that also gets you 6 packs. That was 2 of each set.
Exactly, that's less than MSRP just for buying packs. All right, so I think we're probably about ready to get into our first match here and have the momentous moment of our first Limited broadcast here tonight starting out.
All right, so our round 1 this week is between Cory Jones and Jeremy Hatfield.
Yeah, and I heard that Jeremy was very insistent that we don't normally do round 1s, but he just wanted to show off a bit of his deck here.
And his deck is an absolute monstrosity. He's playing 4 colors. He's got 3 Skylands.
Yeah, and so we see a Fate Foretold coming down on a 1-drop that was played by Cory Jones. And then he attacks in for the 1.
That Triton Shore Thief? No, that's the one from Born of the Gods. Whatever that unblockable Triton is called is a real monster because of Mortal Obstinacy, which is the new aura that when you deal combat damage to something, you can sacrifice it to destroy an enchantment.
Oh yeah, that's a very powerful card.
It is a very powerful card.
Yeah, and this is also very much Cory Jones playing his style Limited as well as he plays Constructed, we're seeing as well. And so, yeah, Nessian Courser came down for him as well as Jeremy's developing his mana as he is on 4 colors tonight.
And he has a bunch of things that can deal with being way behind on board. He has Drown in Sorrow. Yeah, you can see his double blue, red, and white mana. He does have Drown in Sorrow in his deck.
Yeah, it's a little ways away right now.
He has Whelming Wave. There's a Spear Point Oread, which is going to hold off the follower, but nothing else.
Yep.
Turns out Centaur Corsair being a 3/3 is a big deal.
Yeah. And every format that he's been in, being that 3/3 for 3 has been so important. I know we've talked in the past about Gnarled Mass as well, which was, constructed playable and block in some, standard. So seeing, cards that are that powerful and limited, just being efficient every turn can win you so many games in Limited. So we see the Voltroning going up here.
So now he has a pair of 3/3s and that Hero of Lena Tower, which can become real big real fast.
Now, do you think he should have slammed the Flash +2/+2? Or I guess he's stuck on 4 mana, so he doesn't get that much of a pump if he waits 1 turn to put it onto the hero.
Yeah, if he had waited to put it on the hero, he could only pump it once, twice if he draws a land. But I have a hunch he has another heroic enabler, so he'll get the chance to do that later.
Absolutely. Yeah, but we see that Cory is just at 3 mana. It looks like he did miss his land drop.
It's an excoriate on whatever that Triton is called.
So yeah, everything going away. Was he supposed to draw a card for the Fate Foretold there?
He's not, because excoriate exiles a tapped creature.
So it's when the creature, not Fate Foretold itself, goes to the graveyard?
Correct.
Alright. Yeah, there's always those weird wordings where you're never sure what's triggering it.
That is an aerial formation. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the Kira's follower does in fact survive being tapped.
Yep. Yeah, so it looks like Jeremy's just going with the chump since he was at 8 life.
That flyer came in for 6 that turn, which is pretty big deal.
Yeah. And we can see, like I know you're saying that the hero is one of the cards that you put a lot of value on rising up by the end of this block. We can see why, but it's a 5/5 now. That costs him 1 mana.
5/5. So that was quick.
Yeah.
Cory came out of the gates hard. He came out of the gates with a 3/3 unblockable creature and a 6/5 flyer.
Exactly. And we saw that Cory's deck does what you really want to be doing in this format, is it because there's so many big creatures, there's so many monsters, there's so many bombs, that you either have to have a bunch of bombs and a bunch of the monstrous, or you just have to kill them as quickly as possible.
And Kiora's Follower is my favorite card. I think it's amazing in Limited. I think it's amazing in Constructed. I play it in Standard all the time. And it's because it does everything you want. It's a 2-mana 2/2, so it attacks. And it generates mana for you to cast your Bestow cards or your Monstrous cards or your Planeswalkers if you're playing Constructed. It even turns Sensitive Divining Top into Divination.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen similar cards like Voltaic Key get banned in formats in the past, but like untapping a permanent is a big ability. And there's a lot of ways to abuse that sort of thing.
Give your biggest creature Vigilance.
Exactly, and even just our Inspire guys.
And just Inspired guys.
You know, just attack with Pain Sphere, then untap them.
Someday I'm going to lock out my opponent by having a Siren of the Silent Coast and Kiora's Follower. So during their draw step, I'll untap it and make them discard. That's going to happen. Mark my words.
Fun games magic. All right, so yeah, we saw a pretty quick game there by Cory. We'll see whether or not the 4 colors of Jeremy can catch up with that speed.
Being on the play will probably go a long way, because I know Jeremy's playing counter spells and cheap removal spells.
Yeah, in both games he started off with the blue-white Scryland.
So he has the blue-white, he has the blue-red, and I think well, not the black-green, so I don't know what a third Scryland is.
But yeah, if you're opening a bunch of Scrylands, you're kind of obligated to go as many colors as you have good playables. We see the Hero Follower on turn 2 for Cory. And this will give him up to a 4-drop this turn.
Yeah, it does whatever you want. He gets to play his 4-drop, which is the 2/4 that when you target it bounces something, I believe.
Okay, yeah, so that's pretty strong heroic.
It's like, if you're Jeremy, what's worse? Play this 2/4 with huge utility, or attack for 2 and play 3/3?
Yep, so it looks like the Drown in Sorrow coming down, just getting Follower, but that's fine there.
And that oh-so-critical Scry that makes that card better than Infest.
Exactly. Yeah, if it's Infest there, you don't feel as good about that, but knowing that you're smoothing your draw and killing an important creature.
Too high pressure. Okay.
And so it looks like Cory trying to decide what he's going to spend his phone, and it's a Bident.
So that means piles of card advantage for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and that's hard to catch up with in Limited. In Constructed, you have a little more wiggle room to catch up on the card advantage, but in Limited, you know, the cards, you don't have the guaranteed best cards to catch up.
Because if you're Jeremy there, what do? Best case scenario, you have the answer and you blow up the Bident, and it already cantripped and it took both of your turns.
Exactly.
You just turn off the camera.
Yeah, and without it, you can see that, you know, Jeremy doesn't have the early board to really defend himself. And so this curving out by Cory is just enough to, you know, when you're not curving yourself, you're very vulnerable.
So that's plain Swamp Mountain that Jeremy's showing right now?
It's the black-blue
Oh, it's the blue-white
blue-white.
Which is good, because I was going to say he's pretty far away from Whelming Wave, which I think might be his only out, but he's not as far as...
Yeah, he's a blue away.
He's a blue away.
I don't think any of those are Krakens or Leviathans or anything like that.
No, there is one Kraken / Octopus / Leviathan that costs less than 4 mana. It's Nimbus Swimmer, the blue-green X.
Secretly just want to play a deck where you Voltron up a Kraken hatchling and then play Whelming Wave.
Oh, snap. Okay, so that's an ordeal of Nylea that turned that into a monster.
But it's getting grip-tided, so yeah. Now it's just losing a draw, losing a spell.
Cory's consolation prize is I'll draw 2 cards and do 5 damage to you.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair prize. So yeah, you lost a draw, kind of, sort of, but then you're biting it right back.
Yeah, the hero Lena Tower, it's in his hand right now.
Yeah.
There's another Excoriate. I guess probably the same Excoriate again.
Yeah, but yeah, just taking out. And you see that Jeremy's kind of keeping afloat, but he's also trading mana inefficiently. Like, he spent 3 mana on his Drown to kill the Kiora's Follower, which is 2 mana. And he just spent 4 mana to kill the Courser, which is 3 mana. So Cory's getting a bunch of increments of advantage more than just the card advantage he's getting from Biden. And yeah, just dumps out his hand. So
I have no idea what the one in the middle was.
is that the 3/2 flash?
I don't think so. I think that's the Crystalline Nautilus, the 3-mana 4/4 that gets sacrificed when it's targeted.
Okay.
And above it is the Nyxborn Triton, the 3-mana 2/3 with Bestow.
Okay. Yeah, either way, Cory has a pretty overwhelming board here with Jeremy at 9.
Jeremy has a 2/4,
Yeah.
which will kind of hold Cory's guys at bay until he activates the Biden.
Yeah, or if there's any heroic. Because that's the thing is, combat tricks are always good. This is a format where you get rewarded so hard for your combat tricks because you get your heroic triggers.
Yeah, and if Cory just bashes with the team, Jeremy gets to eat the hero and Cory draws 3 cards.
Yeah, and he doesn't even know that he eats the hero.
That's very true. I think you have to eat the hero. No, if you eat the hero, you're dead. No, if you eat the hero, you go to 1.
Yeah.
So anything beats you.
And
Like
there's something.
that. Oh,
The +2/+2 flash.
yep, that'll do it.
Yep. So, yeah, pretty quick game. And Kiora was actually in Cory Jones' hand that he showed as well.
Oh, was that it? I missed that. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll see that again today.
Yeah, he laid it out and just like, oh, by the way, Kiora.
Still had all these.
Exactly. But yeah, so that's where consistency in your mana base is a thing. And I know Jeremy loves multicolors, especially in sealed. But yeah, the more consistent you can make your mana base, the more easy it is for you to curve. Because all of a sudden your 2 drops that aren't the right mana become 4 and 5 drops.
And I think this is a really great opportunity for you and I and whoever's watching the stream to prepare for the upcoming PTQs, if
Yeah,
that's their speed. Because it's really difficult to know when a format is fast and when a format is slow.
Exactly. And I think you want to think that this format's slow because of all the monstrous and the big bombs, but I think whenever you see the top tables, they're all going to be decks that are threatening you on like turn 5 and 6 to kill you.
But see, that wasn't true in 6 Theros.
Okay.
I didn't play a whole lot of Born Sealed, so I can't speak
Yeah, I
for
didn't
that.
play a lot of Born. I know Theros, yeah, is a little slower, but there'd be a lot, like, the best decks are the fast decks, in my opinion.
Oh, I thought the best decks were the decks with Nimbus Naiad. You just make a giant undeal-withable
Flyer.
threat. Yeah, you strap a Hopeful Idol onto something huge, and you get there in 20 turns after your opponent jump blocks 15 times.
Yeah, I always seem to see a lot of red-white heroic decks at the very, very top.
Do you see that in Sealed, or do you see that in
And
Draft?
sealed.
Okay.
Yeah, just because if you have the pool to be able to have, your Titanic strengths and your Crowing Crusaders and just all these really, you get a very critical mass very quickly in red-white. And not every sealed can support that, and it was, I think it was more specifically with how Theros was built. I think there are a lot of cheap things that can make that work.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's kind of the strategy that you want, is because everybody's trying to go big, and if you're able to get under and you have the tools, I think you definitely want to do that.
And see, I had just the opposite experience in my pre-release. I thought that my pool was terrible, and Doff, who has been playing way more limited than I have, looked at it and says, you have a Pelucranos, you have a Hero's Bane, and you have a Flame Wreath Phoenix. Just play those, and you'll win matches.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is, bombs are still bombs.
But even when they're fat bombs, you don't do anything until turn 4.
Yeah, they win games. Like, that's what bombs do. But yeah, a lot of times it's good to have a separate plan for if you don't open bombs, because when you open bombs, you kind of build your deck around the bombs. But it's still good to have a B plan of, if I don't open, incredibly, what are the things that I want to look to that I could be able to do to get an advantage without having to have the best cards?
And 2-mana 2/2s go a long way towards that.
Exactly. And even 1-mana 1/1s that make more 1/1s.
Or 1-mana 1/1s that become 6/5 flyers.
Exactly. Yeah, you can do a lot of stupid things in this format. That's for sure. We get to see big monsters. But so yeah, we saw Cory Jones take down that first round. And we get to see if we're going to see some Voltroning, some monstrous aggression coming up here in our next round.
Well, this next round is Alex McClement against Jaws Pannu. And I got to see Jaws' deck, and I thought it was absolutely insane.
Yeah, Jaws' deck is definitely the example of when aggro takes over a format.
I believe he has one card that costs more than 3 mana.
Yeah, he has the 3/3 flying vigilance regenerate guy for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sentry of the Underworld?
Yeah.
If I had to hazard a guess.
Yeah, I believe that is his name.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite cards in Theros. Not for the format, just because I like that type of card. Because it's a big evasion creature and it plays some defense.
Yeah, and if you strap anything to it, like a Spirit Point Oread, and suddenly it's a 5/5 flying vigilance first strike, what beats that?
Exactly. Yeah, but one of the cards I think is very underrated in this format is going to show to be one of the best, and I think you'll agree with me. This is the Nyx Fleece Sheep, is it? Yeah, the 05 that's for white one that's a enchantment creature, and at the beginning of your upkeep you gain a life. Just because A, it's good at defense, and B, you can Voltron onto it, and it's +0/+5 to whatever the bestowed creature was, which is very hard to deal with a creature with that big of a butt.
Yes, it's really worth noting that card does not have Defender.
Yeah, it can attack.
I was complaining earlier today about how this format doesn't have any commons or uncommons that are going to be constructed playable, and the counterpoint was the Ram and Sigiled Starfish.
Yeah.
Although those two are going to be competing over slots, so I suspect we'll only see one of them reach popularity.
Yeah, and so we see the Journey. It's the artifact that gets you a basic land.
Traveler's Amulet.
Traveler's Amulet. I want to say Journeyer's Amulet, but I knew that wasn't right.
This Satyr, it's the 1/1 that puts a counter on something. We all remember him from Avacyn. He's fringe playable in every format.
Yeah. He was also, I believe, printed as a beetle as well in Odyssey block.
Okay.
I believe it was Judgment, but I can't remember offhand.
We had that same beetle in a core set. I think it was M13, except it was a 1-mana 0/1 that becomes a 1/2.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a card that's been around a couple times. So this is the latest iteration.
Jaws mulliganed to 6 this game, and he has out the 2/1 Flying Vigilance.
Okay, and I know that Jaws said that he really liked this card, and it did a lot of things that he wanted to do in this tournament for him.
And Alex is playing the 3-color deck. He's green, white, black, and he's got the Traveler's Amulet and at least a pair of Karametra's Favors to support that.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good amount of support for a splash. And we can see that off of Jaws' mulligan, he is stuck on only white mana. But it looks like his hand's pretty full of white cards. Yeah, see, just the Master of Feasts is the only black card that I saw in Jaws' hand.
And that card is insane.
It is.
In pretty much every format, I think.
Yeah, 5/5 for 3s, regardless of the drawback, are gonna win you games.
Absolutely, and especially in Standard right now, you can be protecting him with Thoughtseize and maybe even Duress. So it doesn't matter how many, let's say, Elspeths they draw. If they don't have a Detention Sphere, they're gonna die.
And so it looks like Jaws playing the, it's a 3/2 for 3 that gains you 3 life if he has an enchantment, but he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of enchantments in his deck. The whole point is it's 3 mana for 3 power.
Exactly, which is very, very efficient. Yeah, that gaining 3 life is definitely a nice bonus, but it's not what makes you play the card.
And when you're playing a bunch of flyers and you get into a racing situation, like being able to slam him down, block, trade with something, and gain 3 life is a pretty huge boost.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it can definitely swing the races, and a lot of these games just turn into races. And so...
That's the Market Festival aura?
Okay. Yeah, so it's the add 2 mana of any one color?
Yeah, so Alex now has an absurd amount of mana to do with as he pleases.
Yeah, and...
And I know that he has Pelucranos, an Eater of Hope, and an Ornitharch in that deck somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I saw Polychronos on top of Alex's hand there.
That's the Mortal Obstinacy on that Laguna Band Elder, whatever that's called.
Yeah, so he has the option of destroying the Ccfnm's Favor.
Or the Market.
Or the Market, Festival. Yeah, the Market Festival. That is a lot of mana. The difference between, I believe, 5 and 7.
Sounds right.
And even 6 and 8 if a land drop is made by Alex. So yeah, I think it's right to destroy the Market Festival. Because also Alex basically spent his whole turn doing that last turn too, so that tells you there's something he wants that mana for. Yeah, so we'll see if... So Alex, if he does have that if I spotted correctly, he does have Polychronos, he can just, slam it here and be pretty far ahead on the board.
Yeah, the Pelucranos, if you play it now, you have 7 mana next turn, which is just barely enough to eat both of Jaws' creatures.
Yeah. But we see the 2/2 that inspires to gain 2 life.
Is that the 2/2? I can't tell the 2/2 and the 3/1 apart.
I think it's the 2/2.
We all know that's a Pelukrinos, though.
Yeah, we know that one. We see that one every Friday. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Jaws has an answer for that, or if Polychronos is just going to eat his entire board.
I think that Jaws has an Ajani's Presence in his deck.
Oh.
That's the Strive card that gives Indestructible.
Okay.
So if he has that in his hand right now, he'd be able to survive Pelukrinos onslaught.
Yeah, so Jaws crashing in here, so it looks like he's representing a trick which he has the 2 creatures get +2/+2 in hand.
Which is good enough for the Elder to trade with Pelukrinos, which
Exactly.
I'm sure he would take.
Exactly, and so Alex is just going to take that and go to 7. Yeah, and that's the thing is, you don't have a lot of white or a lot of reach in white, so yeah, you're not just going to be doing 4 extra damage here.
Oh, and there's a time defeat in Alex's hand, so going down to 7 isn't that big of a deal when
Yeah.
it looks like you're going to be able to destroy the next 3 things Jaws plays.
Yeah, this is, green doing board control, which is not something, we typically think of as green's, place in the pie.
For the last 2 years, that's been going up and up and up and up.
Yeah, it's really interesting, because I think they want to go with the nature, creature, savagery, they fight.
Ever since they printed Prey Upon.
Yep. Yeah, it's always interesting seeing the color wheels redefine as the game grows.
Yeah, I guess defining fight. When
Exactly.
fight became a keyword, that's
Yeah.
when green became a control color.
Exactly, and we don't even see fight in red very much anymore.
That is the Blood Crazed Hoplite.
Okay.
This guy has quickly become one of my favorite cards in the set. Because he has Heroic to gain a counter, and whenever he gains a counter, he drains a counter.
And so he's also going to be getting a total of 4 life here off of the fight.
Should just be 3. Why,
Well,
where's the
it's
fourth
3
one?
and then the heroic.
You don't gain life with the Blood Crazed Hoplites.
Oh, it's
Damage.
only the 1 damage to them?
They deal damage to each other. The Hoplite gets a +1/+1 counter, and Time Defeat says if that creature dies, gain 3 life.
Okay.
Interesting that he went with the Hoplite to the Elder, probably not wanting to expose Pelukrinos to any tricks.
Exactly. And as we see, it's probably going to be defended with that 2 creatures get +2/+2 here.
Exactly, and that means just the Hoplite will die and the Elder will live.
Yep.
And one of the important things that'll do is it will prevent Alex from gaining the 3 life.
Yeah, I'll prevent the 3 life, and then how big is the hoplite with the counter?
It's a 3/2.
3/2, so, and that's after the counter?
That's after the counter, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there is still some blocking that can be done here as well. Because both of the creatures are getting +2/+2, I assume. So there is a little bonus that your blocks are a little better this turn.
So he wanted to Monstrous Pelukrinos, but he didn't have 3 mana. I think that's what we witnessed.
Okay.
So now he's looking at his combat step and staring down a 4/3 Vigilant Flyer.
Exactly. It's not a welcoming thing to attack into. Yet he still has a white up, so God's Willing isn't really a dangerous trick. I don't know if there's any other tricks for just white that you're worried about.
Alex only has 1 card and 2 mana, and he's bashing a 2/2 into a 4/3.
Yeah, that's the one. He could be representing Aspect of Hydra.
Yeah,
not sure what else.
There's a 2 mana +1/+1 and Indestructible. There's Panoply, Nature's Panoply, which puts a 1/1 counter on something. There are a large number of green tricks right now.
Okay.
Savage Surge.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting he has 2 mana because of that. Because of the enchantment.
So that's the Mortal's Ardor, which will give him +1/+1 and lifelink, meaning those guys are going to trade.
Ooh.
Jaws is going to gain 5 life and then take 2, going to 21.
So I guess there was a trick for a white. New sets.
So what we saw here was Alex used all his removal spells and had his own board wiped.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just Jaws had the perfect responses to the situation. And it takes a lot of discipline to get to that point in the game and still have the tricks. Because they could be used a lot easier in other circumstances.
That's the Techmos High Priest. Heroic lets you return a creature converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
So it's basically Unearth on a stick.
It's Unearth on a stick, although I don't think that Jaws has any creatures in his graveyard right now that you can return.
Yeah, I believe you are correct on that.
So that's enough. Alex lost his board, was staring down some flyers, and he says, no, let's try this again.
Yeah, in case you're wondering how important combat tricks are in Limited, combat tricks are always very important in Limited.
And that's something that we see about the green removal, is it's so dangerous to use green removal into open mana.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah, they can re-combat trick you, basically.
Exactly. Green removal is just like multiple combat steps.
Yeah, they always invite a 2-for-1. Because, yeah, you're pumping your guys or you're fighting, so the card that they're investing can get lost along with the creature if you kill him. That happens constantly to green. But green also gets to have the biggest body, so they don't really care.
Yeah, absolutely. Turns out, Plochronos doesn't only have a game-winning ability, but he's a 4-mana 5/5.
Exactly. Yeah, just without his ability, it looked like it was going to take over the game of just being a 5/5 on that board. But yeah, that was just the pure power of combat tricks. Yeah.
Which is very strong. So Jaws didn't hit black mana that game.
No black at all. But it doesn't. It seems like the black isn't his main color. Like most of his deck seemed white when I looked through it. It's just that he has some very powerful cards in black.
I mean, you have to assume that he has removal in there somewhere. I think I remember seeing a Bile Blight.
Yeah, I saw a Bile Blight.
Don't know what else is in there. There's no Lash of the Whip, there's no Ccfnm lock. There might be an Asphyxiate, but I don't even think there's an Asphyxiate.
Yeah, I don't think I said Asphyxiate. Like I said, I think it was just more efficient creatures.
Fair enough. Oh, and the lifelink thing with Strive.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that one's a very good trick.
Absolutely. There's the...
Yeah, the black one.
Cutthroat Maneuver is the
+1/+1 to 2 guys.
Yeah, and lifelink. Now this card, it's only +1/+0, but if you want to target 2 creatures, it's the same amount of mana as Cutthroat Maneuver.
Yeah, well, it's black too, I believe, technically.
Oh,
so.
That's true.
So
that's true.
it's a little harder to cast. Like, it could affect Jaws' deck because he is mostly white, but it's most of the time not going to matter.
Yeah, very true. And that's I like seeing those Strive cards as your trump.
Exactly.
Because, like Nature's Panoply, I've seen fantastic things. That's the one that puts a counter on them. Because it's a burst of strength for 1 mana, or it completely changes the scope of the board for 7.
Exactly. And like the black lifelink one that we were just talking about is, for 4 mana you can get 2. Like, for 7, getting 3 creatures isn't crazy. Like, that's achievable. Like, striving 3 things can be done, and it can have a big impact in that state of the game when you do it too.
Yeah, because what'll that do if you target like a Swiftclaw, Master of the Feast, and a Bronze Sable? Then that's 7 + 6 is 13 life gained.
Yeah, exactly. And we're dealing with so many Voltrons that you're going to have 8, 9, 10 power creatures sometimes. So, yeah. So let's head into game 2 here and see if Alex is going to be able to come back in this one with his big green monsters, or if Jaws is going to continue to be efficient. Did Jaws mulligan again? No, I think he's on 7.
He's on 7, but there's still no black mana there.
Yeah, it's, again, a pretty white deck. No, there is a swamp. There's just no black spells.
Oh, okay, that one slipped by me. There's a Bronze Sable.
Yeah, Bronze Sable is very, very useful, especially when you can't trust your mana. There's one rule of Magic: you can never trust your mana.
Never trust your mana. At least it doesn't enter tapped unless you're playing Jeremy's deck.
Yeah.
That Blood Chris Hoplite, he's everything you want him to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a 2-mana 2/1 with a game-breaking ability, and I think we'll get to watch him square up against a Crowan Skyguard. That's the 2-mana 1/1 with Heroic.
Okay, yeah.
So you'll get to see his drain counter be relevant.
So yeah, Alex coming in and offering maybe a trade with Sable. But yeah, we see the trick on there.
That's the +2/+2 and untap.
Okay.
It's 3 mana and it strives for 3 mana.
Not to sound crazy, but you are counting on my deck and
Yeah, so we see that the Bronze Sable is attacking in.
And I was a little surprised to see that Jaws didn't take that trade, because I feel like the Hoplite is strictly better than Bronze Sable.
Yeah, but if he's offering it and it has heroic, typically that's going to be a cue that they have a trick for it.
Fair enough. Yeah, this is a format where when your opponent has open mana, crazy things can happen at any moment.
Yeah, and Jaws knows his deck. His deck is a bunch of cheap creatures that want to race, so he's okay with racing. Where he knows that if he trades and gets into the mid-late game, that's where Alex is going to be having a much bigger advantage.
So that's another one of those satyrs. I think it's the Wayfarer, Wayfinder.
Yeah.
It puts the counter on the hoplite, so now he's a 4/3.
Yeah.
A 4/3 that doesn't attack. Because Jaws had 1 mana open, and an Ajani's Presence would make his guy a 3/3 indestructible? I don't think Ajani's Presence actually gives +1/+1.
Yeah, I don't think it does either. But we see that Alex went and got the planes, so he has all of his colors now. And so he's going to be untapped, and we'll see what he can do with his full breadth of mana here.
I think he's doing this during Jaws's
Combat?
upkeep or draw step
Okay.
or something. I think it's Jaw's turn.
Yeah. Yeah, because I can't see Jaws pass, because we see...
Mortal Obstinacy,
Yeah.
which doesn't have any
Yeah, it
targets
doesn't
right
do
now.
anything yet. It's interesting that you'd play it right now.
I don't know. It's 2 power and toughness.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that thing is just for the heroic, right?
Mm-hmm. Anytime you can strap an aura to a flyer, you probably want to do it.
Yeah, probably a good idea. And the Pegasus joins the team here as well. So he's having a little bit of an air battalion.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't have any flyers on the board. Karametra's favor means any fatties that show their ugly head are going to make their way to the battlefield.
Yep.
There's the white archetype.
Okay.
So all of Alex's creatures have a first strike.
Okay. Yeah, knighthood, but a man. And we see that 3/2 first striker, there's no good blocks there.
Although that archetype is probably going to die to Mortal Obstinacy this turn.
Yeah, it is very likely. And again, it's the question there where he could also attack the mana as well, knowing how big that Alex's deck can be.
And kill the Karametra's favor? That's what you're
Yeah,
suggesting?
that is an option as well.
It is.
It'll be interesting to see what Jaws decides here.
And it's also not irrelevant to think that you might want to keep the power and toughness on the Skyguard, just not blow anything up yet.
That is true as well, because yeah, they are in a race, and Jaws is down to 11, and this is, I believe, evening it back up? Yeah, evening it up at 11, so yeah, it looks like Jaws is just keeping that. And then we see that Sentry of the Underworld, which has a 3/3 flying vigilance, and I believe, is it black-white, pay 3 life regenerate? Like, it has a very restrictive regenerate ability. But just a 3/3 version of a Sarah Angel is pretty powerful.
And so that guy is going to be able to block the Archetype of Courage. So Archetype can't get in. Neither can the Satyr.
Yeah, but the 3/2 can. And it'll have first strike, so without regeneration mana up, it just eats Sentry.
Let's take a moment to talk about a Crow and Mastiff.
The 4 mana 2/2 Master Decoy.
Oh, it's not a Master Decoy. It doesn't make people attack him. He taps.
Oh yeah, taps.
And in this format, tapping is really, really good. Because there's so much...
Voltron. Yeah.
Exactly, enchantments going around. They had the Siren Song Leer was an equipment in Theros that didn't really see very much play. You'd sideboard it in against the Voltron decks.
Yeah.
Now this guy always has that.
Yeah, and he's, still a 2/2 for 4, which isn't the best, but sometimes, its ability is so powerful that the body isn't as important.
And the first time that I was talking about that card with Gary, I was saying the first one's an auto-include, and from there you have to decide if it fits.
Exactly.
I've since amended my opinion to play as many dogs as you can and be happy.
Yeah, and this is specifically sealed. In draft, it's a whole other story, because in draft your deck's a lot more focused, where in sealed, you have what you have.
So Jaws sent Alex down to 4 with his aerial squad and then deployed a couple more dudes.
Yeah, so they're 4 guys on defense here, and it looks like another gift just to cycle for Alex.
He's probably going to move that. Yeah, it goes onto
Yeah.
the hoplite.
Yeah, to get the heroic trigger on there. and take the counter away.
Which is a really sweet ability.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's so much heroic, and with having 3 full sets, there's countless cards that just get +1/+1 counters.
Especially because the white heroic deck, specifically the white-blue heroic deck, is largely perceived as the strongest deck in Draft. And
Yeah.
so having an efficient black card that happens to be really good against them is really good.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I still think the best common in the whole block is still Grey Merchant, just because of the huge impact of draining life. And so yeah, having more cards to make you want to be in black really helps. And I think this set's been great for black.
So Jaws chump blocks the Hoplite, so now he's got an opponent at 4 life, and he's got
Yeah,
6
6
power and flyers in the air. That's what flyers means.
Exactly, and then that's well before any tricks or any other shenanigans. But yeah, one of them is going to get tapped by the Mastiff. That's
big
going to be a
one.
Sentry. Yeah, I don't think there's any Spider Silks or any reach tricks.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because there's no like spidery reach or anything like that.
We can't see a Lash of the Whip here, so we could see a Freakish Cure. Freakish Cure would be very strong.
Yeah, Freakish Cure would definitely swing this back in Alex's direction.
Alex takes the 2.
And then the Master of Feasts, which Jaws played against me this past weekend at the pre-release. And the annoying thing is that draw card doesn't trigger on your upkeep. It triggers on Jaws' upkeep.
Exactly. So that'll give Alex another opportunity to draw an instant that'll get him out of this.
Yeah, but no sorcery speed, and it's not going to give you anything to help defend it this turn when you need to.
And what instants are going to get you out of this?
Exactly. Yeah,
Turns out, Lash of the Whip doesn't destroy Master of Feasts.
Yeah, he has 9 mana available to him though, so.
And I think I saw both an Eater of Hope and a Pelucranos in his hand. So if he had 10 more life, he would lock this game up real quick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that Master of the Feast and the Sentry, because he can tap down 1, but the other one is going to kill him.
It's worth noting, if he taps down 1 and he eats the other with his
Yeah, he still
Eater
takes
of
the
the
2.
Void, yeah, he still takes 2, maybe 3 from that Pegasus.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just Alex evaluating what happened. That's something that I think is always important to do at the end of the game too, is win or lose, just take a second and think about what happened in the game, what got us to where we were at, and is there anything that I could have deviated. Yeah, but you see Alex picking him up there, and yeah, that was a very, very close game. Yeah, and you could see the whole tone of the game being set by Jaws not blocking with that Bronze Sable, because by doing that he said, let's race.
Mm-hmm. And then the Bronze Sable didn't do a whole lot for the rest of the game. It may have gotten in for 2 damage.
Yeah.
But that was enough to make it so that Alex needed 1 more card than he could possibly get.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely Jaws understanding what his deck does, that he's a deck that needs to just beat down as quickly as possible, and he's willing to trade damage for damage. Because he knows that he has all these flyers, and his deck is mostly, his threats are flyers.
And he has 2 cards that provide him with a substantial amount of life gain. I'm talking about the Strive lifelink thing we were talking about earlier,
Yeah,
whose
absolutely.
name eludes me.
Yeah, so when you're racing, having those cards that catch you up are so important. Yeah, because in general, when you're learning competitive limited, you kind of learn that cards that are pure life gain aren't very good. But when you get other sorts of value added onto them, like the +1 and being able to use it as a combat trick, and being able to gain, 6, 8 life for a black sometimes.
So how do you feel about the font that gains you life? It gains you 7 life, and it triggers Constellation. Font of Vigor.
So your build is important. If your deck's like, I just need enchantments, sure, like, I feel like the life swings, like, I think it's fine sideboard. I think the life swings, because of a lot of the Voltroning, is so big that sometimes 7 doesn't matter. And sometimes you're taking 18 in a turn.
Yeah, that's true. How many power and flyers did Jaws have when the last game ended? 8, 9, 10, 11? 11
Yeah.
power and flyers?
Yeah, so you get half a turn worth of life back. Like a little more than that, but it's not even a full turn's worth of life.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't get you back in the game.
Yeah, but if you have like 2 of the black giant, I say, yeah, absolutely.
Sure, just play anything that has the word enchantment on it.
Exactly, as when there's times that you need an enchantment, sometimes you just need that cheap enchantment that has some utility.
We had 2 Constellation cards in M14, but they weren't enchantments themselves,
Yeah,
so they didn't have that keyword.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, is that all the enchantresses have Constellation, right?
So does Ajani's Chosen and Blightcaster. Now, I'm real excited to see if Blightcaster can find a home in New Standard.
That would be interesting. Yeah, it's definitely, I consider one of the strong cards in that limited format for sure.
When you get to play a Divine Favor and kill something.
Exactly. Yeah,
Nothing bad about
yeah,
that.
we haven't seen anybody try to take advantage of that yet.
Well, the Constellation mechanic is
Just
today is the first day it's legal,
Exactly.
and we didn't play
But
Constructed.
we've been in enchantments for a while though.
We have, and even just playing, like having Courser of Crewfix and Underworld's Connections be a removal spell.
Exactly.
But me, I plan on going deep, and I definitely found my mana blooms. I know where those are, so I'll be able to
That is quite the combination. Just mana blooming for your 1 all day.
0
0 even.
Cosmize. Yep, it makes cats, it kills things.
Hyper. So we're gonna head into our next match, and so it looks for a round 3 match. We're gonna have Jordan Johnson on the left and Jeremy Fuller on the right.
Now, Jordan, I haven't seen featured before.
Yeah, I believe this is his first time being featured. He's been playing a little bit lately though.
Although it does make a lot of sense. Our limited Ccfnm did draw some attention from players who don't always show up for constructed tournaments.
Exactly, because they're 2 very different skill sets, and you really have to. There's a lot of crossover, but there's individual things in each one that you have to develop differently. So you'll see a lot of people that play limited don't play constructed, and vice versa.
If you want to get really good at playing limited, you should play green-white aggro in constructed, because you'll learn all about combat math.
Exactly. Yeah, when you have standard decks that have Selesnya charms and other, combat tricks, it's simulating a limited game in a constructed environment. Yeah, so we see that same creature that Heroics to Unearth.
And the 2/1 Flying Vigilance on the other side.
Yeah, so been seeing tonight a lot of the efficient white creatures. Like white seems like it's been pretty favored color.
Yeah, so white is the most overdrafted, the most difficult color to get into when you're doing draft. In sealed, you don't have that problem. It's just the best cards in your pool are white.
Exactly, and that's the thing is they have the cheap efficient creatures and they have some of the best heroic abilities.
And I'm the firm believer, like you mentioned, that if you get the black deck, that's probably the strongest deck you can have.
Exactly.
But it's also not there very often.
Exactly. Yeah, and the black decks can also trick you because you'll think a lot of your removal is better than it is with all the bestow. So that's a big trap when you're building is not overvaluing Sip of Hemlocks and your very straightforward removal.
Yeah, Sip of Hemlock is insane if you're being aggressive and nipping their blockers.
Exactly.
It's much less good if you're trying to use it as your removal spell to cast Eater of Hope and
Exactly.
take over the board.
It doesn't help you stabilize too often. So is that another Mastiff as well there?
That's
for
a Mastiff.
Jordan?
So we have a 2/3 on one side of the board and a 2/1 and a 2/2 on the other. Nothing crazy happening yet. That mountain looks an awful lot like a plateau.
It's revised. They weren't supposed to look that different. You wanted to believe that it could be a mountain and a plains.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so
Mortal Obstinacy again. So now that's a 3/4 we've got coming, which means it would trade with the whole board if he chose to throw both bodies in front of it.
yeah, but I think Jordan's gonna think better of it, knowing that for the rest of the game he can stop it with 1 white mana.
Absolutely. Mastiff too strong.
Yep. Yeah, and right now the race is pretty even too, even if he doesn't decide to use the Mastiff. But yeah, I think right now with that Mastiff, it's always going to shut down the biggest creature, and it's going to let Jordan get ahead here in the race.
Yeah, so I think the biggest concern here for this turn is if you have something to do for 5 mana, you attack, and you don't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But if you don't have anything to do, then you leave him back, and you deny 3 damage instead of dealing 2.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Jordan might be doing is there is the enchantment that gives double strike, and so he might be not wanting to ever leave the shields down to get, blasted for 10 or 12 somewhere in there. That's not that hard to do.
So in Jeremy's hand, we see a Heliod's Emissary, which would open up the High Priest because suddenly the Mastiff would have a new job.
Yep. Yeah, you do have to love those tappers as just versatile removal. They're always removing the best creature it can. So yeah, it's a pacifism that gets to decide whether it's pacifying each turn.
We've had a few of that get printed. A card that like whenever a creature enters the battlefield, you can return this to your hand, or you can attach this to that.
Yeah, there's been some weird mechanics, and they always trigger in the most confusing ways possible.
But most of those auras can't attack for 2,
Exactly.
and it doesn't have a picture of a dog humping a person.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I choose iffy images for wizards sometimes.
So he's got to have something for 6 mana, right? That's why he's getting aggressive?
Yeah, you'd think so.
Or he just thinks 4 is more than 3, this is going to work out.
Yeah. And so we're seeing a next step with the Divine Verdict there to take out the Hound. And...
Hubris, to return the Hound to his hand.
okay, interesting.
So now he expertly has just enough mana to play the Hound.
Yep.
They get the damage, combat still happens.
Yep. Unfortunately, that Hound is... well, he's tapped out, but the Hound is also 6, so there is the possibility of the crackback here.
Absolutely, but the crackback is only for 3. So Jordan isn't really falling too far behind.
Yeah, it's a very close game. And that's the thing, is that they are able to race each other, but this is again where the tricks become so important, especially in this format, is that, the proper combo of tricks is going to bust this game open for somebody.
And we live in a world where Jeremy bestows with a Ghostblade Eidolon, and suddenly that thing is coming in for 8.
Yeah.
Although that'd be a terrible idea right now because he has a Mastiff. Don't listen to me.
Exactly. Yeah. They're if the shields are down, at some point, Jeremy has the possibility to jump way ahead in damage.
So that's the Skirk, and that card has really impressed me. It does its job real quietly.
Yeah, the 2/1 that scries when it attacks.
Whenever it attacks.
Yeah, and as we've seen with the Starfish as well, is just scrying by itself is a powerful mechanic.
Yeah, do it 2, maybe 3 times, and you effectively draw yourself a card.
Yeah, and one of the things with when you're scrying on a stick like that, be it Thassa, be it Starfish, be it this gentleman, is that it allows you, if you know for sure, like this is the least consistent one, but if you know for sure you're going to scry over and over, you're allowed to scry more aggressively as well. Where sometimes you have to keep it if you're only scrying that one time to be safe.
So Jordan throws down a 6 mana 4/4 flyer. And that card, I think, is an excellent addition to this format because it's very, very fair, but it's also pretty powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially in Limited, so many games are won, via evasion, by the skies, through Intimidate, just however you can get in your damage.
And note that it's an artifact. And this is a format where main decking enchantment removal is totally viable, and a lot of that enchantment removal happens to say or artifact on it somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Not all of it, though. There are definitely a lot that you dodge. Yeah, a lot of them in the white especially.
So he's attacking with his Skirk. He has 6 mana open. What do you think he has?
I don't even want to measure all the tricks. That's the thing. There are a lot of tricks, be it, either the red or the white to target pump spell from Theros. You could have the white Strive.
I'm betting it's the 2 mana for +2/+1 first strike is what's sitting in Jeremy's hand.
Yeah, it could definitely be one.
Because the 1 mana coordinated assault doesn't get him out of this. And to play Dauntless Onslaught and then trade doesn't seem like great value.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure. Yeah, so not quite sure what's coming down on Jordan's.
That is a Strive spell that gives double strike, I believe. So I'm pretty sure Jordan's attacking for 12 that turn.
Yeah, so as we said before, double strike's a thing in this format.
Double strike's a thing in this format.
Yeah, so yeah, when you're getting into those fair races, somebody can jump way, way ahead or finish off pretty far early out of nowhere. And there's a lot of just heroicing and not necessarily even double striking. But we saw before with the Ranger, is that you can have a heroic that just swings the entire game.
And what we don't have in this format is a lot of good counterspells.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have Dissolve, which is Premier. I'll give you that one.
Yeah. But even in Limited, you're not going to play it as much. I think this is one where you might consider it because you can dissolve when they're bestowing. So they're paying the big cost, and you get to counter it.
Nullify, which answers Bestow and answers creatures, but doesn't answer any of these crazy Strive cards that have come out.
Yeah.
Thassa's Rebuff, which is either amazing or unplayable, and not even determined by your deck, determined by your board state.
Yeah, this is not a kind format to counter spells. But again, not all limited formats are, and very few are, but there are formats where counter spells are good.
Yeah, but when you have this many haymakers in the format and you don't have a deprive or some go-to like this is a good card that answers those,
Exactly.
then you see a lot of games end out of nowhere.
Yeah, where blue has to have a way to deal with things besides bouncing them back to your hand.
Although bouncing them back to your hand is insane.
Yeah.
It's way better than giving them -4/-4 because you can bounce anything, even their 12/12s.
Exactly, that is true. Yeah, so yeah, removal's a little weird in this block because it defies a lot of the normal conventions with the advantages that Bestow gives.
Hubris is such a bizarre card.
Exactly.
It has a drawback. It's a bounce spell with a drawback.
Yeah.
But the drawback happens to be really good right now.
Yeah, we saw it be very important in that last game for Jordan. But yeah, so we'll head into game 2 here and see what happens when white fair men fight again. That's more or less what we're seeing. It's just a bunch of fair white dorks bashing into each other, and then somebody's going to have a big explosive over-the-top trick.
And the rule of thumb, way back from Patrick Chapin's Next Level Magic, is the slightly bigger deck wins or the much faster deck wins. And I think that's what we're going to be seeing here in this white-red versus white-blue matchup is for every 3-3 Jeremy plays, or for every 3-2 Jeremy plays, Jordan will play a 4-3.
Exactly, yeah. Just being able to be more efficient.
Because they're both playing their 2-1s,
Yeah.
or 3-1s. That's a 3-1, and that's Magma Jet, which eats 3-1s.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the best defense is a good offense, right? So yeah, just burning that 3-1 out of the way. And then getting the... Because it's a reprint, you get the rare double scry.
Oh, yeah.
Because most of the things are scry 1, but Magma Jet is, a scry 2, which makes it just that much stronger.
We do have Riddle of Lightning and Interpret the Signs in this set, which are both scry 3s.
Yeah,
Riddle of Lightning being a reprint.
exactly. But from Future Sight, which is where Nesting Courser originally came from as well.
So I think that's not the Shore Thief, that's the Shore Stalker.
Okay.
It's still the 1/1 unblockable. It's a fantastic thing to strap an Ordeal to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know that was a big strategy for, especially in Theros, was 1 drop, especially a Crowing Crusader, and then Ordeal, and you're halfway to, taking over the early game.
Or favorite hoplite.
Exactly.
Asphodel Wanderer. It's Wanderer, right?
Some of it,
He'll turn into a 4/4 regenerate.
Yeah. So yeah, a little unblockable damage getting here. And like we said, evasion is so valuable and limited. Like you still can't go too far out of efficiency reach. So we see a last breath on the
Tikthmos High Priest.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not
remember
gonna
what
get
the
that
first word in that thing is. Some kind of High Priest. It puts you to
Exactly.
23. The Shore Stalker got in there once.
one. He's a white necromancer. it's a little awkward.
So the Iconoclast has heroic to destroy an enchantment creature.
Okay.
Some people whom I respect say that card being a 4-mana 3/2 isn't good enough, and I think that they're wrong. That card has to be insane, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one of the things that comes up is you have so many creatures with heroic that you can't use all of their abilities all the time. And so, you always want creatures with heroic, but you have to choose the best one to be using. And I just don't know. A lot of times you're just racing. And you just want to get your counters on before they get their counters and just do the most damage.
I feel like what Iconoclast does so well is it deals with the aftermath when you kill a bestowed creature.
That
A
is
bunch
fair
of
point.
stupid things fall off, and he just goops them up.
I think that's fair.
So we got another 2/1 Flying Vigilance. That card has been making a good showing today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, evasion, efficient. We see, that last breath put Jeremy up to 22, so he's, working on the other side of 20 right now.
I played. I know.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if we're going to be getting any tricks to get heroic here, as Jordan is tapped out and has missed quite a few land drops. So this is a place where your tricks can really give you advantage with your opponent tapped out.
So this is where Jordan can't block, right?
You just can't block. You just take it and say thank you, sir, and move on to when you can battle tricks against tricks.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
So if he does this now, how does he get out of the same situation next turn? Because 2 more of this and the world ends.
Yeah, well, we don't know what type of tricks Jordan's on. Like, he's stuck on 3 mana. Like, he could trade tricks with tricks.
Mortal's Ardor, that's the 1/1 and lifelink.
Okay, yeah, so just get even farther ahead of 20 and put a little more pressure on.
So that's going to send him to 26. 26 is a pretty big number.
Yeah, and I mean, Jordan is down to 8. But yeah, he's missed several land drops here. And it's hard, when you're racing, you have to be able to stay in the race. And, each land drop increases the value of your creatures and how big they can be.
So what your plan here is you play any 2-power creature, and then you block the Iconoclast and you eat the trick? No,
Yeah, so
right.
is that the prevent damage, or?
I don't know what that card is. Probably Oppressive Raise. That's probably the pacifism that they can pay 3 mana to ignore.
Okay.
He didn't untap it, but I think that's just because he doesn't think it matters.
Yeah.
No, that's Banishing Light. That's what that
Okay.
is. He Oblivion Ring to that card.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, it's getting used to the new arts. We know the cards, it's just the arts themselves. But yeah, so that definitely takes away the evasive creature, and then it's just, stupid guys on the ground now.
Alright, so he trades off half his board. Is that a Fated Retribution? That's a Fated Retribution.
So,
Destroy all creatures, scry 2.
no, I believe it's all non-land permanents.
No, it's creatures and planeswalkers.
Oh, is it creatures and planeswalkers? Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, I think Jeremy realized it, but Jordan didn't. Yeah, because it's not quite planar cleansing as an instant. That would be a little too good.
That would be pretty savage. So we see Jeremy out of cards. Did that happen?
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy ran himself out, but I mean, yeah, and on 3 mana, Jordan somehow managed to clean up the board.
That's what happens when your opponent casts a Wrath Effect.
Exactly.
I know, right? But still.
He's still only a 3 mana, which means he might not have an answer to Spearporn Orion, although it's just as likely that this is an answer.
And it looks like he's going down to 6.
And the God-favored General.
Okay.
The inspired pay 3 mana, make 2 dudes.
Okay, and it's white 2 to make 2 dudes?
Yes.
Okay.
But the card itself is just a 1/1.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the board state where you want it to be at because it's empty, but...
You're gonna Hubris the
that.
Spearpoint Orion.
Yeah, but if there's a perfect board to be inspiring, this is it.
So... And we did that at end of turn. Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but he still has to establish board here to stop Jeremy. It doesn't look like he drew land or anything to defend here.
Yeah, he's got Vanguard of Bremas, he's got Necroan Mastiff.
Also,
That
Yeah, so
God-favored General is going to untap.
Yep. We had another of the Wing Steed as well.
That card is so good.
It is so good, yeah. I mean, even without Heroic, you can play that card.
Laguna Band Elder, does he notice that he has a Banishing Light? Hopefully.
Yeah, I don't think he does because, yeah, it's on the other side.
Yeah.
And that's an easy trigger to forget because it's not even on your side of the board.
I almost got away last night with having my Cast into Darknesses survive my opponent's Obstinate, whatever that aura is called.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, you don't have any enchantments. I'm like,
Yeah.
biting my finger. All right, guess you don't do anything with
It's
that
not
trigger.
lying if you say nothing.
it's like the Aladdin's ring.
But yeah, so yeah, those tokens came in, and then the Elder is gonna block here. This could, if there's any trick for Jeremy, this is just lethal. But yeah, Jeremy just getting Jordan down to 3 here with the flyer, and adds Bremas.
That's not a card you want to see on the other side of the board right now.
Yeah, you don't catch up against Bremas. You can catch up against a flyer.
That 3 life would be a pretty big deal, because if he got to play Mastiff now, start eating tokens, take 3 damage next turn, then tap down Bremas, There's Brimaz's Vanguard, who is noticeably smaller than his master.
Exactly. There's a reason Brimaz is the king. Yeah, and that's the thing is that, yeah, there's a flyer too.
So you can't double block. You have to have a Hubris here. Or a Voyage's End, or a, I guess those might be the only two options.
Yeah, can't think of anything else on the black-blue.
And that's an Iroas with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loyalty, so all it does is make your creatures not take damage in combat. All it does. Oh, and makes it so they can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures.
Yeah, which there's going to be 3 tokens coming in if Jeremy added the cat token, but I don't even think the cat token matters because...
So you double block Brimaz and take infinite?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yep, so that's going to be the end of that game there where, yeah, Brimaz is the king.
Brimaz is the king.
And Arona is a god.
What do you think of Iroas?
I like him. I think Goblin War Drums is an underrated ability, the making a creature be blocked by 2 things. It really just alters the way your opponent plays. And just knowing, going into combat, that your creatures are going to be safe and your opponents aren't, it creates such a... when we're racing so much, you can't trade in combat anymore. It forces a race.
During spoiler season, I saw everyone look at Iroas and say, this card is clearly the best god, this card is clearly the best god. And then we came to release day, and Athreos was the most expensive god, and everyone just felt, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that changed. I don't know when Iroas stopped being the best god.
When Athreos was spoiled.
Really?
I think as soon as Athreos got spoiled, most people I know is like, that's the god, that's the best one. But yeah, I think just because it's 3 mana is part of it.
I think it being 3 mana is way less valuable than Thassa being 3 mana was, because 7 is more than 5.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, but you're also dealing with the multicolor, so if you're playing a lot of multicolored cards, you can get there pretty quickly as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so yeah, it looks like we'll go into
Game 3?
Game 3.
Jordan will be on the play this time.
So we got to see the bombs out of Jeremy's deck this game, because we didn't see them the first game.
By bombs, we mean Fated Retribution and Brimaz, or we mean Wingsteed Rider and Wingsteed Rider.
Well, Wingsteed Rider and Wingsteed Rider is pretty solid. Like, Fated Retribution, Aronis, and Brimaz are all fine. Like, it seems like somebody's trying to build their first, like, white control deck, and they just have the cards that they have from doing a few drafts. Like, that's what it feels like when I see Jeremy's deck.
So we have the turn 1 Favorite Hoplite on the play. This start wins games.
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't do anything broken with it, but he played another 2/2.
Yeah, and again, doing it broken in combat is probably going to gain you more advantage as well anyway. Because they know that they're just bashing creatures into each other, and there's going to be opportunities where you have to block.
So now we've got the blue, so if we see... I'll just wait for him to show me. That's the Sentry Griffin.
Yep, the 2/1 flying Vigilance.
So now you have to decide, if you do get a Bestow, what do you put it on?
We'll see if Jeremy poses a threat or not. Because if Jeremy doesn't pose a threat, you can Hoplite a lot easier. Or if he poses a threat that Hoplite just doesn't care about. Or if he Brimazes, then you probably need to go there.
So, if you Jordan, what happens if you swing with everything? Does Jeremy block? Well, clearly now that he's tapped out, we'll have complete information.
Again, I wouldn't, but yeah, we see the O-ring coming down on Brimaz, which is a fine target.
Yeah, probably going to go well for him. And he attacks for 5, sending Jeremy to 11.
Yeah, that's the nice thing is that a lot of Jordan's offense gets to play defense, as we see the exact thing that was printed on Detention Sphere for a reason. We're seeing, yeah, answers answering each other,
so
snakes eating tails.
We're going to see a standard format where Banishing Lights are answering Detention Spheres, and Detention Spheres are answering Banishing Lights, returning Detention Spheres that can't target Detention Spheres.
Yeah, there's a reason why Oblivion Ring wasn't reprinted in the last core set. Because having that in the Detention Sphere creates some unfun situations.
Or very fun situations.
It is true. It depends on whether or not you hate permanence. If you hate permanence, it's great.
harkens me back to old mono white control when we'd have Sun Titans returning lean in relic warders, exiling Oblivion rings to get back another Oblivion ring to get rid of your opponent's Sun Titan. Longest upkeep in the world.
Yeah, I still always enjoyed the Phantasmal Image ones where you're tightening back a copy of your Titan.
So here's what we were talking about. All of his mana is open, which is just 3, and he's bashing in with the squad. So if you block the favorite Hoplite, how badly can you get destroyed?
Pretty badly.
It has to give it 2 power for 3 mana. That's the +1/+1 in double strike?
Yeah, so it'll be a 3/3.
It'll be a 2/3.
2/3.
Oh, it'll be a 3/4.
3/4. So it can kill the token on first strike and then survive, but
Favorite Hoplite reads, put a 1/1 counter on it, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to him this turn.
There you go. So stacking double strike, not even that important, but
But they may have missed that.
yeah, they might have missed it as I missed it.
Which is easy to do. These cards have a lot of words on them.
Exactly, yeah. Heroic has its own explanation, and then you have to read what the Heroic does. Yeah, so, yeah. Looks like he chose to... Maybe that wasn't the double strike, because he killed Brimaz and not the token.
Maybe it doesn't give +1/+1. Maybe it was just a 2/3 double strike.
That might be it.
So Tixmo says 2 or less, so it will not be bringing back Brimaz.
Yeah, that would be pretty powerful to just be able to reanimate Brimaz with Heroic.
Yeah, how unfortunate would it be if you had to deal with your opponent's Brimaz 3 times in a limited match?
Exactly.
Limited game.
Exactly. Like, I could see that being even reasonable and constructed if it were 3.
So he just comes in for 2 in the air. No, nothing funny. He only has 3 mana again, but he has all of it up.
Yeah, and we're seeing again in this creature on creature race, having your threats have vigilance and being able to at least threaten defense and leaving up mana for your tricks gives a lot.
There's Heliod's Emissary, which is going to make attacking much easier soon.
Exactly, yeah. The vigilance doesn't help you when the attacker taps them. Yeah, and what's funny, if you're noticing on Jeremy, it's what we saw with Jaws as well. He's on only white right now. And I don't know if he maybe cited out his other color, or if this is just mana being uncooperative.
Well, the only red cards we saw out of him that I can remember are Spirit Point Oriad and Magma Jet.
And Aronas.
Oh, and the Skirk.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely the red isn't his most powerful cards. So yeah, I would definitely believe that Jeremy's on mostly white, as we saw with Jaws as well.
But the Skirk is the only one of those cards that you can't effectively splash.
That is true.
That's going to be a Hubris on the Heliod's Emissary? Or it's a Sudden Storm. That's a Sudden Storm.
Oh, okay.
That's quite a bit more potent than Hubris in this situation.
Yeah, so just tapping those guys down.
And he sees a Mastiff on top, which he says, nah.
Yeah, because I think he's still struggling on mana a little bit.
Yeah, we see the 6-drop in his hand, but I'm not sure what else is there.
Yeah, that's the thing is Mastiff still takes a turn to get online, and I just don't know.
Jeremy throws down the Wingsteed Rider. He has 2 mana and 3 cards, which means attacking with your own 2/1 is probably dangerous.
You know, that's the thing with all these tricks, it makes combat such a difficult proposition to willingly enter.
But there's an Athreos.
Yep. So
now you attack, and if it dies, you get it back.
yes.
Because Jeremy can't pay 3 life right now.
Well, he can pay 3 life. It'll just end the match.
It is unlikely that Jeremy decides to pay 3 life this game.
That is true. Yeah, so we get to see which of those 2 powerful gods is the most powerful god in this game, I guess.
I think the answer is the one that's in play.
That's typically the best god, yeah.
Yep, he makes the trades. Maybe he makes the trades. The Mortar's Ardor here would go a long way towards making Jeremy look strong.
But yeah, it looks like he's just gonna get his creatures back. Yeah, neither player is showing any tricks there. Because those things, you get them back with Athreos, but they still go to hand, so you still lose a little bit of tempo there.
Yeah, and Athreos's devotion is quite poor right now.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't even that hot to begin with. Like, I think it was 4 before those 2 guys went back to hand. Now it's 2. Yeah, we can see that. Oh, sorry, it's 3. I forgot about the ring.
Oh, plus Vanguard is double, and Athreos is to himself, so it's 3 right now, and it was 6.
Yeah, so he actually isn't that far off.
There's going to be Vanguard of Bremas.
Yep. Then his
And
little
the
fire friend.
Eagle.
Yeah, so just reestablishing the board to what it was a turn ago.
If you can trade those creatures off a couple more times, it'll win you the game. Unfortunately, there are 3 toughness bodies on Jeremy's side.
Yeah, so that's... He can still double block, but one of them's getting tapped by the emissary.
But Jeremy can't be getting aggressive now. Unless he is gonna like bestow a hopeful eidolon on something, then he has to be playing safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, at 3 you have a lot less options of what you can do to win the game, but you still have to put some sort of pressure on your opponent because you can't let them sit there with a god and creatures that don't die at 20 life for the rest of the game.
Well, Athreos is not the kind of god that generates a passive advantage forever. So there's an obstinacy on the High Priest with nothing to bring back.
Yeah, and that doesn't destroy the god because it's a destroy, not a remove from game.
Correct. But it does make it a 3/4.
Yeah, which lets it play defense quite well.
So here, if Jordan attacks with only the flyer, Jeremy can't block because the Pegasus can't block alone. But if he attacks with both, then Jeremy can block with the Pegasus and something else, one on the Vanguard.
Yeah, that is a very important point, and yeah, it looks like Jordan sees that, but there's not really a reason to attack with the Vanguard anyway.
Now he's got a 4/4 flyer,
Yep, so
which
that,
is going to be real difficult for Jeremy to deal with.
yeah, it shores up the board a lot more, and yeah, being at 1 life, you have to deal with both flyers.
You're 2 mana away from Fated Retribution, and even that would just put the cards back into Jordan's hand.
Yep. And yeah, see, Magma Jet in Jeremy's hand, but with no red mana, it's not going to help him out here.
So if he doesn't gain life or play a flyer, then we're done.
Yeah, it looks that way. Yeah, I think Jeremy just sad that it does. The reanimation is on 2, not 3, because 3 would have been really great for him all game.
3 would have been really great for him.
Yeah, he's got a couple of 3 drops in graveyard right now, but yeah, no other creatures. Yeah, no way to really utilize anything. Even if he could get through with that, there's no enchantment that he really, wants to destroy right now.
Yeah, you can sacrifice it to target Athreos.
Yeah, you could destroy your own Oblivion Ring as well. Give him
I don't
back their
think
ring.
you can.
Oh,
I think
is it an
it's destroy
opponent?
something target player controls.
Okay, that would make sense. Yeah, I think Jeremy knows he's dead, so he's just gonna put a little heat on Jordan before he scoops him up here.
How much life can he gain this turn if he has... Oh, the thing that I want him to have is black, so none, it doesn't matter?
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it does put Jordan to 12, but yeah, extends the hand. Yeah, Fated Retribution was in hand.
Fated Retribution does not deal with Athreos.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's a god, it's not a planeswalker.
It's not a planeswalker. It's indestructible,
Yep.
and it gives you all your creatures back.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that was not the solution to that problem there. But yeah, we saw, the core of both those decks is just fair white guys, though. Which seems to be what we're seeing in a lot of the powerful decks, is that white probably has the best curve, and is just good at being efficient, good at being heroic, and having good tricks as well. Like when you're in white, you don't have to go in another color for creatures, and you don't have to go in another color for tricks. Like you have both of those things in one color.
Yeah, and talking about fair white guys, the card that makes white unfair is Hopeful Eidolon,
Yeah.
and I don't think we've seen one anywhere tonight.
And that's the thing is, when we're in full block, you can't be focused on a specific card because you only have typically 2 packs to try to get 1 copy of it, let alone 2.
And if it was a common from the small set, like let's say Nature's Panoply, which I've
Yeah.
been pitching a whole bunch, you can reasonably expect to see a Nature's Panoply in a pretty high percentage of your sealed pools.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Hopeful Eidolon comes from a set that's 2.5 times the size.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and same with, the uncommons and rares from Theros as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Never expect to see any given rare.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's always good to have, knowing what, every season I used to get together with a lot of my friends, and before we ever did a draft, we'd look at the spoiler and try to rank the top 5 bombs. And that's just a good way so you know what rares you really want to keep your eye on. And also in Seal, it's good to know what all the rares do, so that when you open a rare, you know how you can build around and take advantage of the different rares. So being aware of those rares and going into the sealed of how you can take advantage if you do open them.
Absolutely. And that's something that I see a lot when I watch dress online, is a lot of people early in the format, they just take the rare. And that's not because it's worth money. It's not rare drafting. It's because they don't get as many chances to play with that rare. So when they get the opportunity, they're going to take it.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe it's bad, but this way we learn.
Yeah, that's the whole point, is that, you know, doing an 8-4 online is fairly high risk, or fairly high stakes, but it's not, you know, a big competitive tournament. So that's where you get to make your mistakes and get to learn. And you have a good pool of players to play against as well. So if it's wrong, you're going to get punished for being wrong. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of tournaments where you can go to, and if it's too weak, you can play incorrectly and still win, so you don't get the same evaluation. But yeah, it's always good to experiment to know why something works or doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but so it looks like we're going to head into our next round here.
This is round 4, and there was the pair down. So I think Jacob is 3-0 and Alex is 2-1.
Yep. So
which means Alex is playing for his life, and Jacob would have drawn had he not gotten paired down.
yeah, and Alex has managed to come back and win both of his matches since his loss in the feature match.
So actually, he won round 1 in round 3.
Okay. But yeah, so he definitely needed to do what he definitely did what he needed to stay in contention. Yeah, so
I'm not at all pleased with that Plains art.
Really? I like that one.
Doesn't it look like Necropolis? Doesn't this look like Necropolis versus Swamp?
yeah, I mean, it was a dark time, like the world was being shredded to pieces.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, Time Spiral was a dark time, right?
All right, so Alex starts off with a forest, and he gets, I believe that's the Font of Fertility.
Yeah, the one that lets you rampant growth.
Yeah, and it's 3 mana, but it's still pretty good, especially in the 3-color decks.
Yeah, and especially if you have anything with Constellation.
And I think turn 1 Font of Fertility is the play that won me the most games in this format so far.
Yeah, because it's 3 mana, but you can do what Alex just did and spread it out where it's 1 and 2, because not every deck's going to have 1-drops. So and if you have a 1-drop, it's not creating a lot of pressure anyway, so it doesn't hurt to just build your mana instead.
And especially the decks that don't have 1-drops are the decks that want that font.
Absolutely. And then we see the 2/1 that scribes when you attack coming down for Jacob. So,
The Skirk.
Yep, so if Alex doesn't establish a lot on that board, that Skirk can let Jacob set up his draws in the future and get ahead.
So we remember Alex's deck. Alex's deck
It's
has Pelucranos and Ornitharch and Eater of Hope. So plenty of things that can invalidate a Skirk,
Yeah, and he
but
definitely...
not a land.
Yep. And Alex definitely has a lot of tricks in his deck as well, too. So he's going to keep you off balance in combat for sure. We see...
That is the red version of the Mortal's Obstinacy. It gives +1/+1, and you can sack it to destroy an artifact.
Okay.
It is so much weaker than Mortal Obstinacy in this format.
Yeah, in this format for sure. Like, if we go into the world of Magic all time, I think that's more likely to land in a deck somewhere.
But right now, it's 1 mana and gives +1/+1.
Exactly. But sometimes you just... But again, Heroic is so big in this that sometimes you just need anything though Heroic or just get you ahead in a race here.
So Alex plays the Amulet. He just pops it during Jacob's turn. So Jacob's going through his process while Alex is finding his land.
Yeah, and that process is apparently playing a Hammer of Perforos.
Hammer of Perforos is a strong card with a lot of words on it.
Yeah. Haste is one of the things, paying 3 mana and sacrificing... Is it lands or just mountains?
It's lands, any land.
Any land to make a 3/3 enchantment artifact
Enchantment
golem?
Artifact Golem, yes.
That is colorless as well.
Which works pretty well with Constellation.
Yeah. It also works with just being a 3/3 haste.
We see the Eidolon not coming in.
Yeah.
That's probably Jacob just gets caught in the mindset that this card's job is to
Play defense.
trade with a big creature. Which is really easy to do. When you learn what a card's role is, you try to do that, and you just have to remember to take any small advantage that you can get.
Yeah, and it's a new format too, so when you know the format, you know that there's nothing that Alex is going to be bringing out here that's going to be hasting and creating an issue for you. the more experience you have, like with it being a new format, you don't know all the cards, and you don't know if there's something that's going to come out and give you problems.
So Vengevine's not in this set?
To the best of my knowledge,
Okay.
I haven't played enough of it.
There's the Market Festival, which means he goes from missing his land drop to having 6 mana on the board, potentially 7 if he rips one off the top.
Yeah, and he can double black whatever he needs to here. Yeah, that not just adding 2 mana, but 2 mana of any color is very huge.
Bolt of Karanos
So yeah, right to the dome. Yeah,
sends him to 11. He scries once, he scries twice, he hits for 3.
Jacob knows his plan. His plan is to punish Alex for missing these land drops and try to kill him before, the big monsters, the Polychronoses, start coming down, reestablishing the board and clearing it out.
And we'll see probably next turn, Jacob can just autopilot, make golems until the game ends.
Yeah, it's hard to recover from just a 3/3 every turn.
But First Striker that answers the Skirk is a strong place to start. There's Feast of Dreams, which destroys an enchantment creature or enchanted creature.
Yeah, it's gonna clear out. We see Alex playing the Mastiff now. But that Mastiff is probably gonna have to go down and trade.
Yeah, but
With the
trading with the Skirk is what it would do anyway, but now it doesn't cost mana.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem, is that there are going to be golems which are just as big of a threat.
And
Yep, and here comes the golem.
Jacob is living off the top of his deck, but I think that he's going to draw a 3/3 haste every turn for the rest of the game. So
Yeah,
that's pretty decent.
And again, Eidolon not coming in here. And if you come in with Eidolon, you put Alex down to 4, which means that you don't even have to further your board to have lethal.
And Jacob scried and cat. So not sure. It means it's probably a 2-drop.
It's probably, well, keep in mind haste as well. So it could be, something with evasion as well. Just anything that if it can attack in, it can win the game.
There's Ornitharch, which will do a decent job of stabilizing the board. It'll trade with a golem, it'll trade with an Eidolon, and it'll chump a golem.
Assuming this charger is finished.
So we see Eidolon coming down on Alex's side as well, so that's going to help him with defense quite a bit as well. So yeah, Alex has the walls up, but with that hammer there, can he survive at 5 life?
So last turn when Jacob scried, he kept a land on top of his deck, which means he doesn't care, he's just going to make golems.
Yeah, he knows his plan is hammer, 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 hammer.
And that is going to be real difficult to come back from.
Yeah.
Alex trades off 2 dudes for 2 bigger dudes.
Yeah, I think I still probably would have put the land on bottom because you're not in threat of running out of lands anytime soon, and because of the haste from the hammer, any threat is more threatening.
Yeah, I think you really want a 2-drop there. Karametra's Favor is going to draw him a card.
Yep, and you can see it's a much cleaner board here for Alex. Alex has a chance to take this back over where most of the creatures in his deck are going to be able to outclass those 3/3 tokens.
But not the ones he has in his hand. He has a Nature's Panoply, and he has one of those dorky satyrs.
Okay, yeah, that's not going to do too much. But
And
yeah,
I haven't seen like Humbler of Mortals or any of the giant commons. I have no Snake of the
Nemesis
Golden
and
Grove
Rolls,
or
yeah, the 5/5 for 6 that tramples
Or
and gives you
Nessian
guys
Asp.
trap. Yeah,
his only big cards are mythic.
exactly. Which, if you're going to have big cards in your deck,
They might as well be mythic.
exactly. The most premier of the beefy monsters.
But it would still be nice to see 1 or 2 more of them, because a 4/4 right now looks real good.
Yeah, but we see just another golem being added to the board here, and Eidolon continues to play defense.
Which seems unnecessarily conservative.
Yeah, because even when he was going in for the kill, Jacob wasn't using that Eidolon.
Because if you attack for 1 that turn, well, you only have to do it 4 more times, and then the game ends.
Yeah, so yeah, there are definitely 2 very distinct points that I saw, and I'm sure there were probably more, because I don't think it's been on offense at all.
There's a Sip of Hemlock, which will destroy 1 golem.
Yep, and yeah, I believe there's no cards in hand for Jacob, because he just keeps landing off the top.
He uses the Nature's Panoply with no Strive, and he splits up the counters.
Okay.
So I assume we're gonna see a double block on a golem,
Yep. Well, he doesn't have to worry about or
or he's gonna
Attack?
which
yeah, it could be
leaves
lethal.
him dead.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think any of the cards in Alex's hand.
Oh, that thing in his hand has Strive and gives creatures +2/+0 and untaps them.
Oh, well, that's the thing then.
That is a thing.
You know, all these tricks we don't know quite well enough yet. But yeah,
So here for 6 mana, he's going to untap his 2/2s, turn them into 4/4s, and eat some 3/3s.
yeah, this is something when you go into your combat phases to be aware of is this one, because this is the one that's going to get you.
I'll Savage Surge my whole team.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, it deals with the golems, and again, Eidolon not getting involved here.
So now you have some 2/2s, and your opponent only has 5 lands. You have a Sip of Hemlock, nothing really to target right now. That is Oakheart Dryad. I'm not sure. It's a 3-mana 2/3 with Constellation that gives +1/+1.
Okay. Is that just until end of turn +1/+1?
Yes.
Oh.
So that attack could have been for 3, but I guess we missed the
Constellation
Constellation
of
trigger.
itself.
Yeah. But that's what sets that card apart from a Johnny's Chosen.
Yeah, as it gets that first one. Yeah, so we
Golem's
see-
coming in. He tries to cast Sip of Hemlock, which is a sorcery, so he untaps his lands.
Yep, which I think it might have been what he was trying to do last turn as well. Is that I think he was thinking about sitting on Sip of Hemlock if he saw something besides just token come in.
So now you double block, right?
Yeah, I think you have to. Or it looks like he's just chumping here.
He's chumping.
Yeah, because I don't think he wants to lose the Constellation guy, but you're at 5. I mean,
Yeah, but right now you're really, really, really on defense. The Constellation guy's only going to help if you have enchantments you can flash in.
exactly. I mean, I guess he still has the option of double blocking this turn. Since I guess he just wanted to sip,
Fair enough.
because it's been sitting in his hand not doing much.
And we see a spell. It's been a while since we've seen a spell.
And it's, I believe, the guy 4-mana guy whose power and toughness is equal to Swamps.
So he's a 2/2.
Yeah, but it's the new Nightmare.
And now we're getting in. Baleful Eidolon brings him down to 4. That'll inhibit his ability to chump in the future, because if he double blocks, it's not going to get there.
But it is good to see the Eidolon finally entering the combat zone.
You got Oresco's Sun Guide, which is probably not going to get any inspired triggers this game.
And so I think we might be forgetting the haste part of Hammer. Because I believe the last guy did not come down with haste. I think
he did. He came down as a 2/2, and there was a 2/3 on the other side of the board.
that is a good point.
Now,
Okay, yeah, so yeah, we are seeing the haste for sure.
although if you're attacking with the 1/1, why don't you also attack with the 2/2?
Yeah, that is... I think he just... Because we've seen, again, what Double Strike can do in this format. And he is at 12. I think he just doesn't want to leave the shields completely down.
So Alex has to chump block with 2 creatures, take 1 from the Eidolon. So yeah, if he had attacked with the leeches there, he'd be at 1, right?
Yeah, he would be at 1 on the leeches.
Because if you eat the leeches, then you die to a golem. No, if you eat the leeches, then you don't eat the hoplite. So no, he'd be at more life. It would be better for. What I'm saying is Jacob did the right thing with that attack.
Okay. Yeah, is that losing your guy who's going to get bigger for nothing. Yeah, it is kind of the anti-synergy of Hammer and a Nightmare.
Yeah, but I think it'll work well for him.
Yeah, it looks like it. He finally did finish him off there. But yeah, that is an interesting anti-synergy of Hammer plus a guy who cares about how many swamps you have.
Yeah, and how do you decide which lands to sacrifice and when?
Exactly. It's not something you think about until you realize, oh wait, I have this guy who cares about my swamps.
I guess I should start sacrificing mountains.
Exactly. And he was down to 1 mountain at the end there as well.
And he sacrificed his Temple of Malady, which may or may not be facilitating a splash. So it's hard to tell if that was a super aggressive play or a really obvious play.
Yeah, because sometimes you just want to scry one. And having a land that scries one and is one of your colors is fine.
Yeah, at any time you can play a Scryland, you might as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that a lot of people will miss when they're doing their constructions as well, is not understand that the scry is worth having a land come into play tapped, even if it only produces one of your colors. But yeah, so we'll head into our game 2 here. Yeah, a lot of high stakes here because this is a win and in.
2-mana 2/2.
Yep. Yeah, targeting himself. Which is not his favorite target, not his best target, but he seems to do it a lot.
Yeah, well, it's fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
being a 2-mana 2/2 is pretty good. And now, look, he built himself a Kuros follower.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is that there's times that just making yourself a 2/2 is helpful, especially, yeah, with all these auras and all the bestow. Is sometimes you just need the guy that's going to get everything.
So interesting enough there. He had the removal to interfere with the aura, but Feast of Dreams did not let Jacob get the 2-for-1. So instead he has a hammer.
Yeah. Hammer doesn't really care about things like 2-for-1s. Yeah, Hammer just wins games. Like, I think the first card where I learned about cards that make permanence, it was Mobilization,
Okay.
which, you know, is an enchantment where you just pay 4 mana, make a 1/1. But it doesn't require any cards, it's just the enchantment there. So you get to advance your board without using cards out of your hand. So the hammer obviously is using cards by stacking the lands, but you're not investing more out of your hand.
See me, I've been around much less time than you have, so I learned that effect from Elspeth Knight Errant.
Gotcha. I think the original one was Kajoran Outpost, which was the land where you have to stack a plains and then you can
Right.
start making 1/1s. That card was ridiculous.
So he straps the thing that destroys an artifact
Onto
to
his artifact.
dude. So he's got a 4/4, and now he's making a 3/3. So I think we might see literally Hammer be the only thing that happens this game.
Yeah, it's a new pack rat almost. It's, play it and then forget about the rest of your game plan. This will take care of you.
So how many lands does Jacob have?
He only has 3, so he does have to start drawing lands, and I don't think he has another one in hand.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
But that's the thing is, more than, is he still has probably 11 lands left in his deck, give or take. Like, that's a good percentage of what's left in his deck.
But right now, Alex can play Pelucranos, and it'll all be okay.
Yeah, Pelucranos works a lot, and we haven't seen much tricks out of Jacob's deck. Like, there's a situation where you're going to attack in, it's going to block and you can trade, but...
Nesty Nasp. All right, so he does have another fatty, and that does a Pelucranos impression pretty well.
Yeah, it's the fatty that defines Theros, I really want to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 4/5s for 5 reach, which is very valuable in this format with all the cheap cheap white flyers.
So Jacob says, "I don't care, eat it."
He has no black sources anymore either. So he has 2 mountains and gave up, or 3 mountains, and gave up his swamp. So that's an interesting choice.
But Alex is going to need something to survive another turn, because he's at 4, and he's got 9 power that's going to be barreling down on him, and three easy payments of 3.
Yeah, I think I see a sip of hemlock, but that doesn't do that much for you here.
Yeah, that doesn't get you there. You need to play a real creature and a fake creature.
So we see a real creature.
It doesn't. I don't think it counts. It doesn't trade with something.
That is true.
If you play, this is where you want the dorky satyr.
Exactly.
Turn your Oakheart Dryad into a 3/4.
Yeah. Yeah, that is an interesting card, the satyr, because using it as a pump on itself or to make something relevant more relevant.
I don't think that attack can possibly be right.
Well, we've seen Alex make a couple of aggressive attacks from behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he likes just putting pressure on people.
He's
And he has the untap again, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's gonna let him... The Constellation creature trades, Asp survives, and he takes 3 going to 1.
Although it looks like Jacob sacked a dude. Yeah, that's what Alex is pointing out, is
Yeah.
your 2/3 didn't actually kill him.
Yeah.
So that's why if you don't attack there, then your 2/3 does kill him. And then you're staring down a board where you only die if you don't do anything and your opponent hits a land.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that 4 damage is going to prove to be less relevant than that golem token.
Yeah, and it shows how tight the margins are on limited as well, where a lot of times in constructed you can make small mistakes and not get punished as much, but a lot of times in limited, that one mistake ends the whole game.
So now he's gotten back to the board state of, if you don't rip a land, I'm okay.
Yeah, but if you rip a land, this white probably isn't going to save me.
If it's a Mortar's Ardor, then good things happen, and he rips a land.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can see how Alex might be frustrated in that situation.
Exactly.
Where your opponent plays... Did he play anything before the hammer?
No. I don't think he did. He played the spell that killed the creature.
Yeah.
That was the only thing he did before hammer.
And then he strapped an aura to one of the golem tokens.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the non-hammering that happened in that game. Yeah, so Pack Rat.
So, Pack Rat.
It happens in many formats.
So that clears up our Swiss, which means that Jacob is definitely going to be making it into the top 8, and I'm pretty sure Alex is eliminated.
Yeah, I think that eliminates Alex.
So we'll have that in just a second. But first, what we have is our list for the Bellingham City Champs, the Cosmic Comic Invites. So that's next week, and that's going to be hosted here locally. So
Yeah, I believe that is here at Cosmic.
yeah, that is this one's at Cosmic, and that means we're going to be streaming it. So make sure to tune in Saturday, May 10th, probably starting around 2:30, if I had to guess. The tournament starts at noon, and we always lag a couple hours behind. So our 10 invites are Woody Ccowski, Dane Venowitz, Rosie Crow, Nick Delaney, James Weisenhunt, Baldleap Pannu, Gary Goki, Jeremy Fuller, Cory Jones, and Jaws.
So yeah, we see pretty good representation of what we've been seeing in our top 8s. Like, these are the players that we've seen consistently do well. I don't think there's anybody who you see on that list and go, I don't know. Like, everybody's been in multiple top 8s.
I'm actually quite impressed to see Baldleap there.
Well, Baldleap's been very, very good at improving. And again, having somebody who, like, having a brother or a close friend who you get to play with all the time is such a valuable resource. And so Baldleap and Jaws Deep get to play together. And so that in itself is your own, family play group. And that's going to give you high-level experience of playing with someone else who's very good, and that'll facilitate you learning faster.
And I feel like in this month in particular, we saw Baldleap start playing good decks.
Exactly, yeah. He's really mastered that Esper Humans deck.
Yeah, that thing is not fun to play against.
No, it's not. Yeah. Although I did play it against Jaws' new America Control deck. Yeah, and it's not a game. Like, Jaws' control deck is very oppressive, and it's, throwing aside that idea that counter spells aren't a thing anymore. I think he plays like 12 main deck counter spells.
12 is
a lot.
a big number.
Then it works, though. You get it to a place where you just can't catch up anymore.
Absolutely, and Sphinx's Revelation finishes the game off.
Yeah, because it's the main thing is Elsbeth comes out, and then anything you try to do to catch up with Elsbeth gets countered.
All right, so we have our list for the top 8, and it looks like Alex did make it, and he'll be squaring up against Jacob.
Yeah, so it's a rematch of the win and in round. As you see a lot with, those pair down, is you'll typically get 1 and 8.
So we have Cory Jones playing against Jordan Johnson. We have Louise Barniol and Jaws. We have Bill Carroll and Woody Ccowski. And it looks like we're going to have Bill and Woody as our top 8 match.
All right, perfect. Yeah, and so we've obviously seen Woody on stream many times, and Bill's somebody who has definitely played very consistently in the past before. And so he hasn't been around for a while, so it's interesting to see him back, but Bill's definitely a thinker's player. Like, he definitely likes to think about his decisions and do fun and interesting things in the way he plays.
And there we see Bloodcrazed Hoplite, who I can't get enough of. That card plus Nature's Panoply, which looks like they might be together in the same deck. I don't want to say it invalidates White Heroic.
It's good against it, though, yeah.
It's real good. But that card.
Yep, yeah, that's how... That, makes races unfair. There is a Nessian Asp in the hand, which in many, many, many turns can deal with that master.
Yes. So there, Bill gets his first card of the turn. Or of the demon.
Yep.
We saw a time to feed in Bill's deck, so if we can get any 5-power creatures, then he can trade with the demon.
And again, that advantage that we talked about is drawing a card's a big deal, but it's still a 5/5, and you still have to have the card to kill it and the mana to use it. So yeah, it's a 4-turn clock.
It's a 4-turn clock. The demon is an enchantment, though, right?
He is an enchantment.
Okay.
So yeah, there are a lot of enchantment solutions to him.
There's the Iconoclast, which qualifies as an answer to Master of the Hunt. We just need to twin flame that guy.
Just needs a little work, yeah. Yeah, so we see there is the Constellation Giant in Bill's hand, which, yeah, it's an interesting race, but I don't think he's sliming it out of fear of the heroic. Yeah, he just goes Asp.
Which means, at this point, Bill, draw your card, and we're going to see that Bill might actually be able to race the demon, because he has 8 power on board.
Yeah, it's 8 to 8 on board right now, but that 3/2 is not going to be getting through anytime soon for Woody with Asp over there.
Although, arguably, neither is the Hoplite.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if the Hoplite keeps bashing, the Iconoclast probably won't block.
Yeah, but we see the time to feed in hand, as you were mentioning before.
It's an Asphyxiate, which is going to destroy that tapped Asp.
And that is a excellent way to deal with Asp, because Asp plays so much defense because it's just so big and it can deal with the flyers.
There's an Necro and Skyguard, and Woody also had a Sip of Hemlock in his hand. And he's got 5 lands, but none in his hand, so we're not sure if that'll ever become active.
And we see the 6th lane come down for Bill, and see if there's anything that's going to catch him up down at 10.
That looks like it might be a Feast of Dreams in Bill's hand, which would just... No, that was the Giant. Okay.
Yeah, the Giant, so, yeah, kills the 1/1 flyer with Heroic, but yeah, it doesn't... It is a 4/6, so it creates some ground defense.
Well, any Heroic trigger on the Iconoclast will kill it.
Yeah. That is true as well. But yeah, you don't have a lot of other options right now.
And there's the Sip of Hemlock mana. There's also an Elite Skirmisher and what looked like Shepherd of the Lost, but I know it isn't. Some kind of angel.
Is that the one they had for the pre-release, the Charioteer?
Oh, perhaps. That would...
He does need one more white, I believe, to be able to start Seraphine of Dawning.
So what do you do here? You just Sip of Hemlock the Titan?
Yeah, I mean...
Sip of Hemlock the Titan, send him to 3. We see a Nyxborn Wolf in Bill's hand. A double pump would be lethal if it wasn't blocked. If he bestows the Lucracota with the Nyxborn Wolf, then it forces a block, but then we're going to die to the demon. How's Bill getting out of this one?
Not sure.
By time defeating to kill the Iconoclast and going up to 6, bashing Woody down to 2, and then Woody's going to have to play defense, which is not what you want to do with the demon.
Yeah, that might be the line. So yeah, Bill's life has gone off the screen, but yeah, we know it's at the 6. Then that's not the 2/2 reach. That's
the 3/1 bestow.
Okay. Yeah, so not really providing the defense needed here.
Oh, but 6 is 1 more than 5.
That is true.
And so Woody has to decide if he can safely attack when Bill is going to be showing 3 lethal creatures.
Yeah. Yeah, and Woody just sorting out everything here. I think it's not about heroic triggers. I think he just wants to make sure life totals are correct.
He thinks we
added a point off somewhere. So
would be something...
down to 6. Okay. So that's where we thought he was before, was at 6.
Yeah, how did we miss that? How did that happen?
I think there was just some confusion, be it, a dice getting tipped or just not miscounting damage from something. And they don't always... And you'll see that a lot of times like off camera, they'll be keeping their life total on paper as well. Which I don't know if that's necessarily what's happening, but it could have been they saw something that wasn't right.
Fair enough. Well, that 2 life is a pretty big deal, because that means that Woody's going to be able to play a dude like a Dawnbreaker Charioteers if he gets that Plains.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be now, so... Yeah, Dawnbreaker is just that, a breaker. It's going to be able to defend, get life back, and give enough time for that demon to finish.
So how much does that change in life total change whether or not the Nyxborn Wolf should have been bestowed? Probably doesn't matter. He couldn't have bestowed it that turn, and he can't monstrous and bestow it next turn.
Yeah, because he had the time to feed as well. So yeah, it is a mana issue.
Fair enough. So this is still probably right, because it means you're showing several creatures that could be lethal. If you bash with all of them, then Woody has to play around the monstrous and the heroic target. Any Strive card here from Bill would be devastating.
Yeah, so I think there's a Divine Verdict in hand as well for Woody, so the next snap ability. So an attacker or blocker can get destroyed, and if the monstrous is used, you get that much more tempo with it as well.
There were 3 lands in Bill Carroll's hand, and he was seriously considering the correct order to play them in, which I think is strong, because you need to make Woody fear. However, Woody doesn't really get the opportunity to play around much, so maybe it's moot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard when you're getting all these extra draws from the master and it's just lands. That drawback is like, yeah, you can flood.
So he'll next snap him.
Yep, taking out that monstrous, and then...
He'll go to 3.
Yeah, and the Hoplite falls as well. And so we'll see if Woody can finish her if he has to wait one more turn.
I think that might be a Nature's Panoply that was drawn, which is the Strive 1/1 counter.
Nope, it's the 3/1 that heroics to tap a creature.
Oh, I meant from Bill.
Oh, from Bill.
Yeah, Woody had the Elite Skirmisher in hand for a while.
Okay.
So Woody probably can't get aggressive. He could. It's coin flip.
Yeah, I think Woody's trying to say. I think it's hard when playing it safe keeps drawing your opponent extra cards. But yeah, I think you just have to play it safe here and just leave both guys back. Like, you don't like having a 1 toughness defender where Eye Gouge is a card.
Fair enough. But I think the fact that Woody's even considering being defensive telegraphs to Bill that Woody has nothing. If Woody had any creature or spell, then I think you attack there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But yeah, I mean, in the end, he can't attack into that master.
Oh, it was the Dryad.
Okay. So yeah, it's not enough to get through the master, and it looks like just another land off the top for Woody.
I think this is the second time that Bill hasn't drawn. Okay. He got that one. And is that that's a Cast into Darkness, which is going to make someone not block. And it's going to pump the Dryad to 3 power at the same time.
Yeah, so should be lethal.
I was clearly wrong about what that card was.
Oh.
Maybe it's Errata Hystrix, the 5-mana 2/5? Whatever it is, it's foil.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I believe Woody drew a card off of that card.
I think Woody drew a card for his turn.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, because Bill's mana still tapped.
Or, yeah, I think you are right. I think Woody just had that quick turn of... there's a Hero's Downfall, I believe, in Bill's hand
And
as
a
well.
Keepsake Gorgon.
Yep, so this is what happens when Master gets stuck. Is it gets... Yeah. As much as Master almost won this game for Woody, it also kind of cost him because it got through this gigantic flood that Bill had.
So that's going to tap down Bill's squad for the turn. And scry 1. I think Woody saw a Feast of Dreams, which would kill something but not 2 things.
Yeah, and he has to put that on the bottom because it's... Ooh, yeah, the Keepsake. And...
Wait, I think it was Dauntless Onslaught?
Yeah, I think that's what that was. Yeah,
Which
he's just
is
going to scoop.
Not sufficient.
No.
And now I think that the 2 decided that they were going to prize split and they didn't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
Which Which is important that we don't tell everyone this. We always ask, do you want to be our feature match?
Yeah,
and we get some no's. But in the future, if you ever don't want to be the feature match, you're by no means required to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does add on a lot of pressure, especially, where limited's a lot more volatile than constructed is, and being under the camera, it can be a lot more stressful. So yeah, it's completely understandable to want to take a little pressure off of the game, especially with how high the stakes are on the prize pool.
And for some players, they absolutely love it. I know at the Grand Prix in Vancouver, Nick Delaney had a feature match against Owen Turtenwald, and he was talking about how nervous he was to be on the camera facing Owen. Yeah. And I think that this kind of experience for that player can prove to be really useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is also, it's Ccfnm. This is our neighborhood. Not everyone wants to be on display.
Exactly. Yeah, but I think that is an important skill, especially if you're going to be going down south, is understand that people are going to watch your games. Like, I know when, especially like you're the last match going in and around, and everybody starts huddling around you, it can be very diseasing and it can make you play sloppier. But if you go to a big event down south, that same thing's going to happen in a bigger scale.
Yeah, every top 8 I've ever been to has had people hovering and making comments on your matches, and it's a ton of distractions that you need to figure out how to get past.
Yeah, because there's a lot of pressure in the game, and there's always going to be that spectatorship. So it's important to be able to find the strength to not let those outside factors affect the way you play. And that comes from experience. You have to get used to that pressure, and then the pressure becomes less as you get more and more used to that pressure.
But it does look like Woody took games 2 and games 3 because he made it to the top 4.
Yeah, and as we've seen, Woody was definitely had his stream curse for a while too. So I know that being on stream has bothered him a little bit. Just with he knows his results haven't been where he's wanted them to be on stream.
Yeah, and I think he's won one match on stream, but it was a top 8 match, so it was a.
Well, he won 2 in one night.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I believe he defeated you in the finals after breaking the streak.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So those were Woody's 2 wins basically happened in one night.
I think that was the top 8 match. It wasn't the finals.
Okay. I think it was our final broadcast match.
That makes sense.
So in my head, that's always the finals.
We split the top 4 quite a bit, but not this time.
Yep. This time we're going down farther.
So
Just get the overlay.
absolutely.
So yeah, we're going to be heading into our round of 4. So it's going to be Cory Jones versus Alex Clement. So again, these are people who we've both seen on stream before. It's Alex with his very big black, green, white, base green monsters, and Cory was he green white? Was he full band? Full
I
band.
think it was just 2 colors.
Okay, so I know he has green and blue, but I thought he might have been white in there as well.
Because this is the Kiora. Maybe we'll see that Kiora again.
Yeah.
Really neat to see Alex playing in the top 4 because he was on stream twice and he lost both of them.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a rare club to be joining when you can get away with that.
But because he lost the pair down in the final round, he had the best tiebreakers.
Yeah, which is one of the advantages of the pair up, pair down. So we see the Kiora's follower coming down for Cory.
Oh, and there is a Kiora in his hand.
So yeah, it's land or not Kiora is probably coming next turn. Yes, we see the 2 drop that inspires for 2 life on Alex's side, just to maintain some pressure and make the race better. But yeah, it's gonna get the plus on Kiora, shut that guy down, and possibly lead to Krakens.
Yeah, Planeswalkers are really fair and limited. I think that printing them is a great idea.
I sense sarcasm.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'm personally not a fan of Planeswalkers in general because I think they warp the game too much. Because you have a whole nother player you have to deal with, and if you don't, typically you lose the game.
Well, I think they're excellent in Constructed. I think they should all be released in standard legal from the vaults-esque.
Gotcha. Just have the 5 event decks having the 5 different Planeswalkers in them.
Yes, because that way they're dirt cheap too.
Exactly. Yeah, we're causing solutions to limited problems here. So yeah, I believe is it a 5/5 or a 6/6 for 5 that can't attack unless your opponent has islands, and that monster says to make a land island?
Yes, absolutely. It's Sea Lock Monster. It's a 4/4 for 5, I believe.
Yeah.
That's what we decide.
Yeah, I know it's blue 3. But yeah, it's an interesting card because it's just on defense right now and it doesn't stop flyers. So I'm not sure how I feel about that card.
It's big,
It is big.
and it's common. And especially blue decks frequently want that. Think Harbor Serpent.
I guess that's fair, yeah. It's just something to shore it up, because he wants to, get Kiora as far as he can. That's going to help him protect Kiora from big ground monsters.
At least it's no Junk Diver. 7 mana, 5/5 unblockables.
Gotta do whatever you can to get through sometimes.
So Cory has 3 guys up. One of them is going to get fogged. So I don't know how Alex is going to prevent him from making Krakens next turn.
Yeah, I don't see a way.
It would take haste or flying or trample.
I mean, if he has the new Oblivion Ring,
That would be a fantastic time to draw that card.
but I don't think we've seen it out of Alex's deck.
Cory plays the Hind. He plays the blue font.
Yeah, which is another one of those fonts where it's not the most powerful, but with Constellation, it's definitely helpful, and drawing those cards, even in the not most mana efficient manner, is still very powerful, especially in sealed.
And if you have ways like Griffin Dreamfinder to recur it, then it can be a powerful late game engine as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What we need is a Noble Quarry right now. If Alex was able to bestow a Noble Quarry, he'd be able to get into that Kiora.
So yeah, we see the Market Festival.
And that is not going to do damage to that Planeswalker.
It is not, but it's going to give him all of his options if he has a solution. Let's see here. Polychronos in hand, I think is what's coming. Oh no, it's Mastiff.
Okay, so that's going to tap down a Kraken.
However, each turn another Kraken will be added to the board.
So if Alex can play another Mastiff every turn, and Cory doesn't draw any more lands or spells.
Yeah, I think Alex might not have been aware of, because Kiora's ultimate's 5, and that's a small number. You expect to be like 7, 8.
Yeah, that happens real quick. It's not quite as grievous as Garruk Wildspeaker or Koth of the Hammer was, but it's in that same vein.
Yeah. Yeah, and the difference between those going off is like a 9/9 every turn is not a small effect on the game.
And it's absolutely worth noting when you get the 9/9. It's
end
at the
turn.
beginning of your end step,
Yep.
which means it gets to block right now, and it will not have Summoning Sickness next turn.
Yeah, I've survived an ultimate Kiora, but it was in cube, which is not the same thing.
I survived an Ultimate Kiora by having a Gorgon's Head on an Izzet Staticaster.
Yeah, mine involved Diabolic Servitude Siege Gang Commanders.
Fair enough.
It was a much longer strategy to surviving.
Our options in Limited are far more
Yeah, limited.
But we have enough dudes that
Yeah.
if you could drop a fatty, like say, what's the Eater of Worlds, Eater of the Void, whatever his name is?
Yeah, the big black creature in Alex's deck.
The big black creature in Alex's hand.
Oh, well there you go, and there it is.
No, not that one. But it is in his hand. It's there.
He has a wide variety of big monsters in his deck.
Then maybe you could just attack for 5 in the air 4 times before you die.
Yeah.
Sudden Storm, obviously you're targeting the Mastiff here.
And yeah, Massive just tapping something for fun, thinks better of it. Yeah, because you're not getting offensive, so you don't need to tap anything down here. And big amount of mana being tapped down for for Cory. And
I think that's the Constellation target creature can't be blocked this turn.
yeah, I believe that is as well. Yeah, the 4/4 for 5. Yeah, and so it sends the unblockable token in.
So you go to 15. You can survive that for a couple turns. Tap that to gain 2 life. You're up to 17. So you can take 2 hits.
Yeah, because that's the thing is, how you beat Kira's ultimate is you chump block the Krakens and then kill them while they're being chump blocked, which is not an easy thing to do.
It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you consider that Cory still gets to draw cards and untap his mana every turn.
Exactly, and yeah, so now that every enchantment is 9 more damage unblockable, That's pretty scary.
When you're playing against the hammer and that's all your opponent gets to do for the rest of the game, even that's hard to climb back from.
Exactly. And think about if he draws like Kiametra's Favor. So we get to get an enchantment, unblockable, and then get another card, and it could be another enchantment, and make 2 Krakens unblockable, possibly.
Which would be lethal because he can't untap his Sun Guide.
Yep.
He has a Time to Feed that's going to eat
Probably the 4/4 that
yeah.
makes unblockables, so that you at least have a chance of chumping and racing.
That'll send him up to 20. The Mastiff's going to untap at some point, but the fact that we didn't slam a 5-power flyer makes me think that the game is not gonna go well for Alex.
Yeah.
I think that was your last chance.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is that with that ultimate, you have to race it. There's no other way of slowing the game down when every turn they get a 9/9. There are a few things more over the top than getting a 9/9 every turn.
So the Sealock monster attacked.
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. Yeah, and I don't remember it being monstrous and doesn't have a counter, so yeah, I think this might just be a mistake here.
Which, as unfortunate as it is, probably not
Yeah, not,
critical.
yeah, exactly. Again, we're under Kyora's ultimate.
So what we didn't take into account is Pelucranos gets to do 3 damage to something, and then he has 6 power and First Strikers.
Oh, okay.
So he can make some double blocks. But since he didn't have the Time to Feed, he didn't gain 3 life.
Yeah.
So he's still got to be chumping. You may want to switch those.
Yeah, and just as you're saying, he's monstrosing the sea monster, and I think that's why he attacked, because Cory knew that he was monstrous and just didn't think that.
I have to do that first.
Exactly.
Which again, it's unfortunate because it's concealing information that you're not supposed to conceal, but knowing Cory, there's nothing that makes me think it was done with intent to deceive.
Exactly, and I don't think anybody thought that he wasn't going to monstrous that to deal with the creature.
Here, let me grab my fat stack of sideboard to make some more 9/9s.
Exactly.
And go ahead.
Yeah, there's a scarcity of 9/9 Kraken tokens out there. They're not the easiest one to find.
Yeah, when the token's only made by rares,
Yeah.
like
Not even rare, mythic.
like Godsire 8/8s, or the angels from that one spear.
One of my favorite ones was Tuk Tuk.
Yes.
The big 5/5 golem.
Yes.
I-
Tuk Tuk return.
I actually opened that at the pre-release, just the token, and I felt really good about the token for some reason.
So yeah, the Krakens got there.
Yeah, it's hard to stop Krakens. Like, if anybody has watched any of those old Greek god movies, when the Krakens come out, it's over. Like, you don't want to mess with that. Just go the other way.
Disregard Pirates of the Caribbean. Apparently Jack Sparrow can escape.
Yeah, I mean, he's Johnny Depp. Whatever.
Well, he did die, but whatever.
Death only limits you so much, right?
Exactly. That's I think what Alex is going to be experiencing here is he died, but that doesn't mean he can't come back.
Exactly, and this is Alex's chance to come back and finish in our top 2. But yeah, and Cory, can taste it. He's, one game away from getting there.
So Alex has 2 drops and 4 drops that are all very powerful, and he's on the play right now. And Kiora is pretty good at protecting herself, but she's not insane when you're behind on board. 3 is a small number, and that's what her loyalty becomes when you take her out. So there's definitely a world where Alex plays a favorite hoplite, and then plays a dorky satyr, and Kiora just never gets the chance to take over the game.
Yeah, exactly. And if we see the Wingsteed, for instance, that's a whole different game. Alex didn't have any evasive creatures to get through and keep Kiora down, and we know that he has some in his deck.
Alternatively, there's also the off chance that the Kiora's not drawn.
Yeah, that is one of the things about the bombs is you have 40 cards in your deck, you still have to draw it.
So that's a Riptide Chimera,
Okay.
which means Cory's going to be picking it up during his next upkeep, except it got revoked. So
Yeah, interesting on both parts there. Yeah,
there's the 2/4 that bounces things.
yeah. The thing is, those recurring abilities can be scary, especially there could have been something with Flash in Cory's hands as well, so he could have played that during upkeep. and kept it around.
Yeah, we do have the 4-mana 3/2 Flash Flying, the card that Breaching Hippocamp always pretended to be.
Yeah, or even just the +2/+2 Flash Aura. Like, that could have been one that could have gone on there and gone back as well.
So there's Renowned Dreamweaver, Nyxborn Triton, Hero of Lena Tower, and Cory has an Ordeal of Nylea in his hand, which means he'll be able to turn the Hero of Lena Tower into a 5/5 next turn and get some lands.
Yeah, so if it wasn't bad enough of just completely taking over the board, the board's taken over and it's just going to get worse.
However, Alex has the time to feed, so we might be able to nip the Hero of Lena Tower right now. Yes.
Yeah, and that's smart while he's tapped down, so again, we don't get into this trick versus trick thing that we saw in Alex's first match, where that's kind of what got him.
So Cory looks way ahead on board, and is quite a bit ahead on board, but he only has 5 power.
Yeah, this is going to help him in this process a lot by giving one of these guys unblockable, as well as adding a 4/4 body.
So I guess the 1/1 became unblockable?
Yeah, whatever would die to being blocked. So yeah, so that's going to put Alex down to 16.
Traveler's Amulet, which has been a boss in Alex's deck.
Oh yeah,
The man is that greedy.
Yeah, because he's kind of base green with black and white, but neither one's really the color.
So he plays Font of Fertility, he plays and cracks a Traveler's Amulet, getting a forest, he uses the forest to crack the Font of Fertility, and now we've got manas.
Addicted to all the free lands. Just all the lands getting on Alex's side.
Just get an island. Why not?
Exactly. Like, at some point you might have to tromp the domains, right?
Right. Drag down that Whitewater Naiads.
Exactly. Yeah, sometimes you just have to domain for the threat of domain. You might Chromanticore, and they have to play around Chromanticore the whole game.
Exactly. If you bestow a Chromanticore on that Oresco Sun Guide, what's Cory going to do?
So I'm going to say right now, I'm pretty sure we have a player that'd be willing to fake the 5 color to make you think about Chromanticore, and that'd be one Jeremy Hatfield.
Yeah, didn't he lose to this green-blue deck in round 1?
He did, yeah. So I'm not saying it's the most solid strategy, but there are people who would do this.
I don't know any of us who can resist a Chromanticore.
Exactly. It's one of every color.
That's true.
I don't know if you ever got to play with a Chromat. But Chromat's all the colors and does all the things.
So he's chump blocking a 2/4. Which means he's going to take, that's 6 damage.
Yeah, but there's not much you can do in the situation here. Like, you're not cracking back to gain your 2 life back within the Inspire. Like, yeah, again, I hate chumping, especially in this situation. But, yeah, I think Alex kind of just knows that there's not much he can do to recover here.
Yeah, so Alex's plan, and it's frequently his plan, is going to be to play a Pelucranos, or play Lord of the Void, or play an Ornitharch, or play an Essionasp.
Yeah, I think at this point he just needs to go to Jeremy Fuller's deck, pull out that Fated Retribution, and just try to get that, because I think that's the only thing that really gets him back here.
I mean, one fat enough creature.
Like, I think if you weren't at 10 with a creature that gives unblockability on the field.
Well, he has a Revoke Existence for that one.
Okay. That changes things up a bit. Yeah, because the thing is, as long as that 4/4 is out there and you're at 10 life, that's a big problem for stabilizing.
And there's the Ornitharch, so that's going to make a bunch of dudes. He tapped 2 white to do that, which is probably its mana cost. I'm not certain.
Yeah, and then, and that unfortunately makes it so he can't revoke.
And Cory has the Nyxborn Triton in his hand. He bounced it when he played Ordeal of Nylea on the bounce thing.
Okay.
So now when he bestows that on the bounce thing, he'll get to bounce the Ornitharch. And the world is going to keep being unfortunate for Alex.
Yeah.
Or he'll just make him unblockable.
Yeah. Killing people's a thing.
And attack with a 6/7, so Ornitharch can chump block, and is going to chump block.
Yeah, and you're still taking, the unblockable damage as well here, so you're going to be dead on board and chump blocking with one of your best creatures. So we see...
I want to say it's Savage Surge?
I think
No, it's the something Solidarity. It has Strive, and it doubles the amount of 1/1 counters.
Oh, okay.
and turned him into a 9-9, and then Panoply turns him into a 5, 6, 7, into a 7-8. Oh, right. No, it turned him into a 7-7. It turned Ornithark into a 7-7.
Okay.
So I actually think the 4-4 should have survived that conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the stats on everybody well enough to know exactly what was what there.
Yes,
Okay,
he did
yeah.
in fact survive the conflict.
Yeah, so they're figuring it out with the... Yeah, because of the count. So yeah, that's Alex scooping up.
Yeah, and Alex sees, I've got the Revoke Existence,
Yeah.
I've got some dudes that can jump block, but you're going to be big and you're going to be unblockable, and this is not going to go well for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was just a rough... Every match that Alex played kind of was unfortunate for him on the night. Just, being hit... Yeah. None of those matches were very particularly nice for him.
So that means we got Cory and Woody in the top two, and I believe they split? So congratulations to them. That means they're bringing 75 in credit.
Yep, 75 in credit each, which, again, this was 20. I believe next Friday we are going back to standard.
Yeah, we're going to be doing standard possibly until the core set comes out.
Yeah, and so again, that's $650 for standard. So 75 today gives you like 2.5 months, 3 months of FNMs. So yeah, top twoing will put you infinite for a while.
So if you participated in tonight's sealed and you thought it was amazing and you think we need to do this again and soon, make sure you let us know. Either talk to us in person or comment on the YouTube page or the comments on Facebook. We hear everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to be able to hold as many events as possible, and we want to know what people are interested in. So the more feedback you give us, the more we're going to be able to give the best events that you'll enjoy the most. And just something before we head out, I do want to mention that we've gotten quite a few cards in lately. I know that Black Lotus was sold out of the store and kind of traded up quite a bit.
Yeah, our Lotus, which was signed by Rush and Garfield, got traded for something like $3,200 in cards. So that includes a bunch of dual lands, a bunch of non-dual, like Rashadan ports and fetch lands, and in addition to just mana bases, we got a whole slew of cards that I think there's a text document somewhere in this computer that has them listed, but I don't know what they are.
Exactly.
So stop in, take a look at our Legacy case and our Modern case, because they're pretty stacked right now.
Yeah, lots of staples. And something to keep in mind as well is that we do have people who specifically try to get cards for the store. So if there's any card that we don't have and you want, let us know and we can try to go out and acquire those cards for you. Because just because we don't have it in the binder doesn't mean we can't get it. And yeah, we have plenty of ways to be able to get the cards if there's something that you want to request.
And if you do decide to put a Legacy deck together, we do Legacy constructed events every Tuesday at 6:15.
Yeah, and we've both played in those and enjoyed those. It's a really good crowd with a pretty good variety of decks as well.
And we really encourage people to show up early before they think they're ready for Legacy. And one of the ways that we do that is we allow 8 proxies in your list of 75.
Yeah.
So that means if you don't have the Underground Seas or Jace the Mind Sculptors, you could still potentially play Reanimator.
Exactly. As 8 proxies can save you a good $1,600, no problem.
Absolutely. And we're always looking for more people, so I'd love to see some new faces to that this Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And if we grow the players in our Legacy, it's going to grow the prize pools as well.
Absolutely. It's $5 to enter, and that's 100% of what's paid in is paid out in credit.
So, yeah, an exciting evening of our first limited broadcast.
Yeah, this is the only limited FNM that I know ever happening at Cosmic.
No, we back in the day used to alternate every week between draft and standard, but that hasn't happened in like a decade.
Name a block.
Name a block. It was at least Odyssey.
Snap. Okay, so
I think it was later than that as well. Like, we definitely did it in Mirrodin.
okay, so you have done it modern legal since 8th edition.
I can't remember if we did in Kamigawa. Yeah, way back. It's hard to remember back like 10 years.
Fair enough. Well, we're not gonna go to making it every other week unless there's a huge call for that. But we are interested in hearing what you guys have to say. If this is popular, we might do it again.
And we can do drafts as well too.
All right. Well, I'm Brad.
I'm Kagan.
Nice talking to you.
Thanks for watching.